Hey everyone, you're listening to the official podcast of 4PlayerNetwork.com. Check us out at that address for everything you need to know about our community, monthly giveaways, and nightly live streams. You can even support us on Patreon at patreon.com/4Player. And last but not least, you can catch the live recordings of these podcasts every single Thursday night on our Twitch channel. We hope to see you there. Enjoy. Hey everyone, welcome to 4Player Podcast. This is episode 723. It's June 22nd, 2022. I'm your host, Nick Henderson, and I'm joined tonight by Brad Simons.
Demos, Nick.
Nolan Hedstrom.
Hello.
Christopher Davis.
I'm here too.
And starting us off tonight with his impressions of Starfield. I was trying to think of like a grander way to lead into this, and I failed it. Crispy. Tell us what you think of Starfield.
Thanks for finally having me on. I couldn't make it next week. I just love Star Trek. First of all, I want to say before I get into this, Star Trek's great.
Yeah, it is great. You act like that's a shameful thing, and it's not. Star Trek's awesome.
Awesome.
I never said that I think Starfield should be Star Trek. That's ridiculous.
I'm kidding. It's just you talk about Star Trek a lot. I don't know.
I do talk about Star Trek a lot. You got me there. Really boxed me in.
We didn't get to have you on the show last week, so let's hear it.
I was on the show last week. I missed the Starfield conversation, so I wanted to, on the record, give my full, unadulterated, no bullshit opinion on what we saw of Starfield. All right? I think Starfield...
Yes. I'm ready.
Could be cool. It could be cool.
Okay, really?
Might be cool. I don't know, man. Could be cool.
Wait, are you serious?
What do you think about the ship customization, Crispy?
Okay. The ship customization part was the one part where I was like, audibly sitting there, like watching it going like, oh, cool. Like that was the only part I really had a strong reaction to.
Right.
Because that is cool, I guess. I love the idea of being able to customize your ship because I love the idea of being able to customize anything, right? I am 1,000% for customization. As much as you want to give me options, I want them, right? Some of the stuff they were showing on screen, very nice. Already like having ideas floating around in my head about like, oh, well, what kind of like profile would I want my ship to have? And, I kind of like, I'm thinking about other games with ships and like what I like about them. And I'm like, oh yeah, in Destiny, I really like a lot of the like boxy looking like cargo hauler ships. And it'd be really cool to make something like that, right? Everything else is very, I have to wait and see. Like, I didn't see anything that was very like, hey, this is going to be amazing. Or like, oh, I'm definitely going to lose 100 hours of my life to this. I've kind of like been on the record before as saying that I'm not super stoked about just like kind of the art direction of the game.
Fair enough.
I think it is a neat idea. And like they're calling it NASA punk or whatever. So everything kind of has that like, you got a lot of world. Yeah. You got like a lot of like whites and silvers and like gold, like you would see like on a,
NASA spaceship,
like on solar panels or something. Yeah, you see a lot of those like tiled surfaces for like heat shields, a lot of like soft surfaces like you'd see on like when they wrap moving parts on like the space station and like whatever kind of soft white.
Right.
That stuff looks cool. I think that like the guns and everything kind of look, whatever. The gunplay looks very, whatever,
But could be cool.
Wasn't crazy. Yeah, wasn't crazy that like, so like the first thing they show is like you get out of your starship and you're walking around on a planet and you pull up your No Man's Sky visor and you're scanning stuff and then you're mining stuff and you're like, oh cool. And then you walk over the ridge and there's like a boxy looking factory and you go inside and you shoot some people and it's very like, okay, like fine, then you get in your ship, you take off. That's really cool. the thing that was like the thing that we spent 3 days arguing about in the Discord.
Here it is.
I'm very turned off by the idea that like it is the like flight is just kind of like this little mini game thing, you know?
Yeah, well, it's gated all. It's like gated in between other sections of the game, basically, right?
It's
so, like,
just it's the fucking gummy ship from the first Kingdom Hearts. It's like you've got
probably not.
Okay.
It's not.
You know what it actually reminds me of? You know what it actually reminds me of?
What?
You remember how Black Flag, amazing Assassin's Creed game, right?
Yeah.
All the boat combat and stuff. It reminds me of the boat combat from Assassin's Creed 3, where it's like it's a really cool like thing that's like mechanically, but it feels so separated from everything else that the game is doing. And it wasn't until you got to Black Flag where everything was kind of seamless and stuff, right?
When you were in Black Flag and you could just like jump off your ship and swim to an island, that was amazing.
Yeah.
Like that was the like light bulb moment of, oh, what?
Because if space combat happens in space and you can't go from your planet to space or space to the planet, and you can't go from one star system to another, all those have loading screens, which means when you're up in space dogfighting, you're just there. What else are you doing out there?
Right.
Yeah,
right.
It's gonna feel disjointed a little
I mean,
bit.
I never ever would expect or ask for like any sort of like playability in like warping between star systems, because that's just ridiculous, and that is where you would have to hide your load screens at the very least. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, that idea of like, and then you kind of start thinking about like, if I leave one planet, I do my little space flight, I warp off to another system, I do a little space flight there, and then I land on the planet. Like, and like, is this game gonna be like checkpointing and like fast traveling? And it's like, okay, well, that was fun flying the path to get here that one time, but it's kind of like whatever, and all it is just another dogfight mini game. So I'm just gonna use the fast travel. You know what I mean?
That pill would be easier to swallow if the
I
things you were
feel
doing on
like
the planet looked more,
maybe,
original
but
or
like
exciting. I don't know.
But like what that does is it like what that would do. I'm not saying that is how this game's going to work. We don't know that. But if that is how it works, which I'm a little worried it might be how it works, all that's going to do is just completely relegate spaceflight even further. So you're kind of in this weird position where it's like either it's this like mandatory minigame you have to do every time you leave a planet and every time you go to a planet, in which case maybe, or it's like you have to do it once to get there, and then 60 hours into the game, you're not even fucking with it anymore. You're just fast traveling anywhere. And, I can sit here and say, like, no, I love space travel and games, and I'm going to do it just because, on principle, right? I'm getting into the fantasy of being a space trucker or whatever, and I'm going to fucking get in my ship and fly every single time, even if fast travel is available to me. I can do that.
That'll be me.
But if the option to fast travel is there, like, I know myself well enough to know, like, that thought is just gonna make space travel lame in my mind.
Yeah.
Like I'm gonna be sitting there doing it, going like, okay, like the second it's not fun, I'm gonna be like, I could just fast travel,
I do hope it's like this is a thing that like the developers are keenly aware of, and they realize like you got to incentivize that shit. Like if the incentive is there, if there's something to pull you and encourage you to do those things that's satisfying, like if the reward maybe for participating in those kinds of things is worth it, then
right? And there's like stuff to do. It's not just like dogfighting. Maybe there's like
I'm sure there'll be stuff.
Meaningful social gameplay.
I feel like carrots is never their problem.
Crispy, what about the concept of like warp gates?
Yeah, I don't
like. If you instead of just fast traveling off the planet, you could fly into space, and at nearby planets or like a warp gate, then you go to
Mass Effect relay.
That's where. Yeah, like a relay or something like that. Yeah,
I mean that is no different than just like having a warp menu. It's no different than the way No Man's Sky handles it. Where in No Man's Sky, once you've acquired warp fuel, you can open up your star map and then like plot a course to the next system, and you select it and you say warp here, and then it like takes you into a loading screen basically of your ship flying through warp. I mean, that's all you're going to do because nothing else makes sense, because you're not flying at, sublight speeds between stars. That's insane. Yeah. And if you were doing that, then I don't trust you with space science fiction, you know? Like
yeah, that is the question that's still up in the air. Do we trust Bethesda with space fiction?
And honestly, the rest of the stuff is we just don't know enough. Listen, we got a little into it in Discord about this game, right?
No, that never happens.
People were really passionate. We're making full-throated arguments. Like it's getting a little like, I'm not saying people were being rude or being mean or being hostile, but it was intense a little bit, you know? And I get it, because if this game is good, it has the potential to be really good, you know? To be amazing good.
And if it's bad, it has the potential to completely ruin Bethesda's name.
If it's bad, no one's ever going to want to buy a Bethesda game again. Yeah. Like, if it's bad, the best thing we can hope for is that fucking Krobie Cat video. It's going to be amazing. Yeah. But, as everyone's been saying. But, yeah, I don't know. I'm over my initial, like, no, this is bullshit. Like, I've made peace with some of the stuff I don't like about it. And now I just want to see what is there and have fun with that. My biggest fear and the thing that I want this game to do for me, if it can do this for me, I think I'll be happy with it overall. Make the choice, like the whole point of giving me a customizable starship is for that starship to be a meaningful part of my play experience. Okay? Right. If it is, awesome. If I feel like it is, if I feel like it is an extension of my character and part of my interface to this world, amazing. I don't think we necessarily know that is the case. You know what I'm saying?
They didn't say the word fuel once.
Yeah, which is weird, right? That's weird. So, whatever. My heart. Yeah. Listen, my heart's not going to be broken if this is a bad game, but it would just suck for the world in general if it was. You know?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. But you know what? One thing I think we can say on maybe a more positive note is that, you know, they're trying. This is a new thing. Bethesda finally breaking free of the Fallout, Elder Scrolls, like, you know, back and forth that they keep doing, and like this is in and of itself as an experiment exciting, and it could be cool.
So what I was saying before, I meant it. It could be cool. It could be cool.
I'm glad we finally got you on the record saying it could be cool. But anyways, guys, I know this is 15 minutes into the show, but welcome to 4Player Podcast, and we have a lot of stuff to talk about tonight. It's going to be a big show. Brad's going to tell us about Neon White here in a second, and then after that, we're going to go into we're going to talk about a bunch of demos that we played for Steam Next Fest. And I want to preface this by saying that those impressions for Steam Next Fest are going to be brief because there's a lot of them, but there's a lot of cool stuff to talk about. We play a lot of stuff, so we're going to go over those, and then in the second half of the show, we'll talk about that Dragons Dogma 2 announcement. We'll talk about the Final Fantasy VII stuff. We got answers some questions. It's going to be a good show. But we don't have a lot of time to dilly-dally tonight. So, Brad?
Yes.
Wake up. It's time to talk about Neon White.
This game has been a treat. It has been. This is
sold.
I've known about this game. I actually first heard about this game in a Steam Next Fest from like ages ago, right? And some people had picked up the demo and were playing and were like, oh, this game's really cool. This game's really cool. Finally came out. It's always seemed like something I was kind of curious about. People joked, oh, there's cards in this game. It's about cards. I actually got to look at the footage because I might need to.
It's a weird thing. This is also a game that they were showing on a lot of like Nintendo Directs too.
Yeah. It did come to Switch. I got it on Steam. I've been playing it on my Steam Deck. This is the new game. This is a game from the creator of Donut County, actually.
What?
Really?
I looked it up. I was like, oh, this is a Donut County dude made this? Okay. Anyways, this game. Are we looking at footage yet? That's my question.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is me running through a level, a first-person platformer action game level, and you might see me kind of picking up cards. This is a first-person shooter interface. You do shoot at things. You do a lot of first-person platforming. You got to add on our Twitch, so I don't know what I'm looking at, but I do need to explain. And you're picking up these cards, but they're not actually cards. This is not a card game. There's nothing about it's a card game. You're just picking up a weapon, and that weapon can do that weapon can do its fire, or it can do and you can basically and each weapon has like ammo, be it whether it's a handgun or like an automatic rifle or whatever. What am I looking at? This is not.
What are you struggling with?
Oh no! Sorry.
I saw it's like a minute. This footage is like a minute long or something. It's already looped twice.
No, it's not.
No,
I'm restarting. I'm restarting the level. This is like a time trial. This is like a time trial platformer action thing, right? Where you're trying to go as fast as possible to get through a level while killing all of the demons. By the way, you're in heaven, and one person from your group gets to go into heaven, and the rest have to go to hell. So you're trying to like rank up almost like No More Heroes style or something and kill the most demons. I don't know what's going on with this story. There's a lot of story, but we'll talk about it in a second. The main thing that's beautiful about this game is the gameplay. And I'm running through this level and I'm kind of shooting things, and I have these cards, right? But they have ammo. You can shoot them, or you can discard the card, or just, throw away the weapon, and you do like a movement ability, right? Like the basic handgun, the yellow card, if you can shoot, but if you get rid of it, you do a double jump. The assault rifle, which is, the purple card, you can shoot, or you can discard that card to like drop a bomb and do like a rocket jump, right? Where the explosion flings you forward, right? And then there's other weapons that like some when you discard the weapon, it lets you do a stomp. Some lets you do like a shoot straight forward air dash, like the sniper rifle. You can shoot like kind of sniper shots, but if you discard it, it shoots you forward. And the game is all about moving through this level. And I'm kind of showing you the level over again because it's kind of about getting that. I got the bronze, I got the silver, I got the like gold. You're trying like Mirror's Edge, like a Mirror's Edge trial, right? And you're trying to find like the quickest route, the fastest line, stringing these cards together, using those movement abilities to get like the smoothest, quickest like way to the end. But you still have to kill all the demons, right? You can't just like fly to like the end of the level. You still have to make sure you're killing all the enemies. But you find in your repeated runs that like, oh, wait a minute, I do have to kill that enemy, but I don't have to go down that path. I can take out that enemy while I'm flying through the air, jumping over this previous part of the level that I didn't have to do before. And if you again, I'm doing this level a few times to kind of show you like a different approach to getting through this stage, which is sort of what you go through when you first encounter a stage and when you're trying to like get the gold or whatever, because that's how you actually rank up in the rankings, is by getting golds. Right. So you're encouraged to go faster and faster and get better and better at it. It's so fun. It's so addictive. Like a Mirror's Edge challenge map, or the thing that I've actually has been popping into my head recently as I've been playing this is unfortunately a game that not a lot of people played, but it's the thing that really gave me this feeling is in the game Recore, they had these like platforming challenge areas where you also had to kill all the enemies on the way. And depending on how, the higher ranking or, gold, getting, bronze, silver, or gold or whatever, you would get more of the cores or whatever. I don't remember how the currency worked, but I had a lot of fun like acing all the platforming challenges in Recore. And because you're killing enemies and doing all this crazy platforming, it reminds me of that a lot. And it just feels really good. And once you get good at like stringing this stuff together, you start doing like really, I mean, it just, you get into like the flow and the zen, and you're doing stuff that you can't believe you were, not able to do before. Right. You just sort of see the matrix code, and you kind of understand the level a little differently now. And because it's very puzzle-like, you start to see, okay, I understand why they put this card here, why they put this enemy here, because, they're trying to kind of get me to do a certain thing, but I don't actually have to do that. That's just a suggestion. I can go around. It reminds me a little bit of like Grip Shift as well. I feel like the games that I love that are popping into my memory are not games that people have a lot of history with, but Grip Shift was a game where I was always trying to like break it by doing like crazy jumps that was definitely not intended. But this game's all about that. And if you like that sort of like fast action platformery kind of puzzly, feels really good. You're just going fast and you're hitting restart. Oh, kind of like Trials. If you ever played Trials, where it's I could do this better, I can do this faster, and you're constantly hitting restart as soon as you know you fucked up. It's one of those games, right? You're like, no. Okay. And you immediately get back in there, and you get so into the zone that you're you're hitting the instant restart before you even were supposed to, before you even fucked up, because you get so into that rhythm of perfection. It's one of those.
That's very much like a Super Meat Boy.
A super Meat Boy.
You're in that your thing, and you know you fucked up, so you just immediately restart. You know you want to like. I just want to, even if I know I didn't fail, like I didn't do what I wanted to do, so I want to try it again.
Yeah,
or there's only a 20% chance that you're going to pull this off, and you don't even wait to see if you do it. You just like restart.
Yeah. The other cool thing is the other part of this game is that it's actually kind of maybe a little bit of a visual novel, and I think we'll get to that stuff.
Here it is. Yeah, here we go.
We'll get to that stuff.
Chris Davis is sold.
After I get out of this stage, maybe we'll see a little bit of me talking to someone or whatever. But each level also has that hidden object that's either hard to find or hard to get to, and it's cool to kind of go back into the levels, find out where this hidden gift is, that hidden star, that bandage or whatever, right? From Meat Boy, and figuring out how to collect your abilities, your cards, if you will, in sort of a way to where you can kind of stack them up in it. And it's not about going fast. It's about kind of building a hand, maybe, if you will, an arsenal to where you can finally start stringing them together to reach that out of place, secret hidden area to kind of get that one hidden collectible per stage. And that's very fun too, because it's sort of a different pace, but you're kind of using your same core abilities. And then those gifts those are gifts that you actually give to the various characters in the visual novel style game.
So here's the question, and this is gonna be
and you build those relationships through the gifts you find in the levels.
I've heard some people using the word horny to describe this game.
Very horny, very horny.
Okay, I'm playing this.
So this is not, this is not like a Japanese game, right? This is, the Donut County dude made this, but it's very anime influenced. Like Steve Bloom voices the main character. This whole game is fully voiced, by the way. This whole game is voiced.
I was looking at.
What's up, Chris?
Go ahead.
I was gonna ask. I've been looking at this game because I've been seeing a lot of people talk about it, and the one thing I've been wondering, I don't know if it's like a make or break for me, but the one thing I was wondering is, do you find it distracting or otherwise less intuitive that it's like technically a shooter, you're shooting, but like you're holding a card instead of like whatever weapon is available to you?
No, that's just like, that's just part of the UI. You're not even really, that's just part of the UI. You have a reticle. That's what you're looking at.
It's just kind of, it's like a mental thing.
Like, in your periphery, is it? I don't know.
Yeah, once you start playing this game and you...
I don't know.
Once you start playing this game and you get into the rhythm and the motions of the game, you don't even really think of them as cards anymore. They're just like the skills that you have to kind of string together to get through these stages. And the fact that it's a card is so arbitrary. It didn't need to be that. It's basically just a UI element. The fact that you're discarding it to do a movement ability, that you're just getting rid of, you're just throwing your gun or whatever,
Yeah. I guess what I mean is more like, because they're all cards, like, is it distracting when you're trying to like focus on what you're doing, where you're going, when you have to like keep looking back to see what it actually is? There's not like a distinct silhouette there,
Well, the colors. It's a color thing, right? Yellow is a handgun, which means a double jump. You get used to that language very quickly.
That sounds like they identified that exact problem, and that you decided to use color as the solution.
Yeah. And like I was saying, there is this, I don't know if it's a dating sim thing. There is like a relationship meters and stuff with like the various characters you meet in the story, and like the writing is it's not bad. It's just kind of like goofy anime. I actually get like the World Ends With You vibes a little bit from it. Like the characters they're very big goofy personalities and stuff, like that game. Some people compared it to like Persona or something, but yeah, very horny. Everyone wants to like bang each other, and it's cool that like I found a secret item in a level, right? And that's a specific gift that I can give to a certain character, which is building the relationship. And as you build that relationship, it unlocks like special side quests dialogue, but also side quests for those characters. And that last level that you saw me doing was like kind of like a specific platforming puzzle challenge for like one character that unlocked because I gave her that gift and I leveled up that relationship. And those side quests feel very, they've, they're more puzzle like. I don't know if you saw that, but there was no ground basically. I was just collecting those yellow handgun cards in the air and right. I had to string together these double jumps until I got to the end of the stage. Right.
Right. And then like the sword is the one you always have. You can't discard that.
The sword is the one you always have, but really if you have your sword out, you probably fucked up. It's like because your sword has no movement ability. so if all you have in your hand is your sword and you're whacking at an enemy with your sword, you didn't see the matrix code. You didn't figure out the puzzle. You fucked up somewhere. It doesn't matter because you could still progress the story. You don't have to get golds every time, but I think you eventually get to like those thresholds. It's kind of like collecting, like stars in something like Overcooked or whatever, right? You're eventually going to get to a point where it's going to say, okay, you need at least this many to proceed with the story. Mm-hmm. So you're going to have to go back and kind of improve your times on these. But it's so fun and it's so addictive that you're not going to be able to stop yourself anyways. It's sort of the thing where like, okay, I cleared this stage. I can continue to the next stage. I can continue with this story. But no, I don't want to. I want to perfect this shit. And I feel like in this day and age, it's rare that a game gets me that hooked to like improve my times and, to get into that time trials, like speedrunner addiction, but game feel and just the type of movement. I love this sort of like good first person, like lots of different movement options, cool, like vertical level design. It's just, man, this thing is really good, and I recommend it to everybody. Even if you're not really vibing with the story, which is voice acted, by the way. If that's it is a visual novel, but it's not like you're sitting there reading a book.
Good.
You can skip through that anyways. You can skip through that stuff anyways, dude, because the gameplay is good enough to where, even if that you find that shit like abhorrent or whatever, it doesn't matter because like the gameplay feels so removed from that, obviously, right?
Good music.
Yeah, the music is good. It's appropriate. I mean, this is a very zen-like game. I swear you'll get into the flow, and this thing is really like skyrocketed up. I was just gonna dabble in. I was on the fence about buying this game. I was just gonna dabble in the game and talk about it on the show, but man, I got really fucking hooked. And I've been hooked on Monster Hunter lately, just getting ready for Sunbreak. And that demo that came out, this pulled me off of that like immediately. And I probably
tells you something.
I probably put
the game.
I mean, I don't know. You have to look at my Steam charts or whatever to see how much I play, but that was all in just 2 days. And I don't have a lot of game time, so it feels like a lot to me. But it's really good. So I highly recommend Neon White.
I think
from the
this
creator
is
of Donut County.
Yeah, that's just such a weird, like, I never would have guessed that, but talk about a curveball. Yeah, I'm definitely going to try this. This looks and sounds really cool.
Runs great on a Steam Deck.
That's also a selling point. Okay.
That's good to know, yeah.
No. So, one final thought. When I recorded footage of this is a very, like, precision, like, get good game, right?
Right.
I was recording this and put, like, with a mouse and keyboard. And then I finished my recording, and then I played for like another 3 hours straight. And I'm like, God. I don't want to go back to my Steam Deck. I'm so much better with the mouse and keyboard on this type of game. And I'm like, fuck. And it still plays great with the Steam Deck, but it's hard to go back. But yeah, that's all.
Also noted. All right. So, like I said earlier, guys, the next chunk of this segment, we're going to talk about games we play as part of the Steam Next Fest, which just, I think, technically ended yesterday, I think. But obviously, this is the annual event that Steam's been doing the past few years, where they put out a bunch of demos for games that are upcoming. Mostly indie stuff, but there's a lot of stuff in there to dig through and find. And I think most of us here have dabbled in a few things from here and there from this event. So we got a handful of games that we want to talk about, and here's the kicker: we have so many. Okay, about 15, which trying to squeeze all that into trying to squeeze that into a single segment on a podcast is going to be tricky. But here's the kicker:
do 2 minutes a game.
Yeah, we're going to keep it very brief because you got to remember that a lot of these games we're going to end up playing and we'll eventually talk about in greater depth when they come out. So We're gonna keep them very brief, and as a element of randomness or chaos, we're gonna do it in a random order picked by Chris Davis. So he's gonna tell us. He's gonna say a game. I don't know who played it, and we'll just jump into it.
Okay.
So Chris Davis, why don't you hit us
I'm
with
ready.
the first game?
All right, the first game we are going to be talking about is Cultic.
Oh, okay. So
I played this.
Yeah, so Brad and I both played this. I didn't really know what this was. I honestly downloaded this purely because the art kind of caught my eye. But this is from 3D Realms. It's published by 3D Realms.
Published by
3D Realms. It's developed by a small indie studio whose name escapes me right now. I do apologize.
No, Jason Smith.
Jason Smith. Yes, that does. You say that like I'm a criminal.
No, he tweeted at us. He's like,
yes,
dude.
I know, but I know
Oh.
he tweeted us. He did tweet it. I just didn't. I don't have my Twitter feed in front
Oh,
of me. Sorry,
oh.
bro. Sorry, bro.
I don't know if this is like a one dude project or if he's just the lead designer, but I think when you boot it up, it does say like a Jason Smith game or whatever.
I believe he said a Cultic dev here, so it kind of implies that he is one of several. But
Well, he's his Sid Meier style all over the title screen. So
Well, for people who don't know who he is, what else?
Maybe
has
he's
he
just
done?
egotistical, Brad.
oh, there's a Jay Zaz in chat who says it's a one dude project. He seems like he knows.
there we
First
go.
time chatter. Is he a first
They
time
came
chatter?
here
That's the
literally
question.
just to say that, so they can't
that
be
him?
wrong, right?
That actually might be him because that actually sounds like I don't have my Twitter feed in front of me, so it could be him.
I don't
But-
fuck up and talking about this then.
Oh god, the pressure is on, dude. This game is fucking rad. Like I'm talking. So if you want to talk about like influences, when obviously it kind of like it makes me think of classic Doom or Duke Nukem or whatever, but like the gunplay in this game feels so. I mean, in my opinion,
It feels
can chime in
good.
Whenever it feels real good. Like everything's
It
got
feels
heft to it.
Blood
Yeah.
vibe. I got a lot of blood vibes from playing this game. But yeah, it's definitely boomer shooter influenced.
Yes, absolutely. And there's actually several boomer shooter inspired projects that were part of Steam Next Fest. But yeah, man, this game feels and plays like a dream. And there's secrets hidden throughout it. You're obviously.
I was going to say that. So one of my favorite things of a good boomer shooter is if you're going to do it, you got to make sure you got the secrets right. At some point along the way, they kind of lost the thread. But like I feel like the recent revival of this kind of game, at least the better ones, like Dusk and stuff, have really sort of figured out like good level design and like good, well hidden secrets are part of that. And I was surprised by some of the secrets that I found in this. Like, can I get up there? It seems like I should be able to get up there. How do I get up there? And I started stacking like a bunch of chairs like an idiot until like I realized I probably could have used this barrel in this other room or whatever. But I got up there and I found a good secret. I mean, it was a secret. It was a weapon upgrade thing, which felt like a good reward to find in a secret. So
Absolutely.
it's definitely
I actually
the
ended
kind
up
of level design I like.
trying to reach a vent above an inclined stairway, and I ended up opening a door and jumping on top of the opened door to reach the vent. And I was like, that was cool, man. So a lot of problem solving in there. It seems it's got a weapon wheel, and I only unlocked like 3 weapons in the demo, or 2 weapons plus an axe, which feels really nice. You're going around hacking up cultists and shit, and it seems like there's a story in there that a lot of these games that I played for this, I didn't spend a lot of time focusing on the story elements because that's the kind of stuff I'm going to dig into more when I'm actually playing the game, if it's a game I end up getting into.
Well,
But
you find notes, but they're all on typewriters, and like Duke 3D style, you can interact with a lot of stuff in the environment, like flush toilets and shit. And all these typewriters, you can like click on a bunch, and it does like the and the sheet moves across, and then when you read the note, it has the note, but also a bunch of like random characters because you were clicking on the typewriter.
I did notice that.
Funny
It's cool,
detail.
man.
That's cool.
It's clever. I just want to say this game. I've been kind of thinking about this game ever since I like I said, I played it on a whim. I downloaded it on a whim, and this has kind of risen to like maybe among my most anticipated games of the year. Just because it plays just wonderfully, and the weapons feel so nice, and I love the aesthetic. And I don't know, man, it's great. It's great. Cultic. I'm not sure if the demo is still available because Steam Next Fest ended yesterday, so some of these are available, some of them aren't. I think it's kind of up to the devs. But if it's still up there, maybe go check it out because it's pretty dope.
Man, I love that Nick is like an old school shooter guy now.
I know it's
Like he's way more into it. Like he's He's like way more well versed and like a better old school shooter guy than Carlos. Like Carlos looks like
Damn.
You know, it's,
next to
I begged this dude to play Dusk, but he finally didn't. He finally understood.
It's the crazy thing is Dusk took me like 3 tries. I had like 2 false starts, and then I finally stuck the landing on Dusk, and I played that game the shit out of that game. So I do finally get it, and it's the reason why I'm excited for games like Gloomwood too, which is also not necessarily a boomer shooter. It's more of a thief clone, but like I love this aesthetic, and I love this like renaissance of like games that kind of pay homage to the way games looked back in the day, but like it really. But like by harnessing like modern technology to do so, it looks amazing. And yeah, that's it. We got to move on. That's Cultic. What is next, Chris Davis?
All right, the next game we are talking about is Signalis.
Okay, that's me. I don't know if anybody else played this. This is a survival horror, like a third person top down survival horror game set in space.
Shocking. In this year.
Yeah, the year of space horror. But what I wasn't expecting booting this up was like how much it leans on like Resident Evil as kind of its inspiration. Because
that's original.
You're funny, Crispy.
I'm sorry. It's funny.
But let me
Very
tell you, like,
Silent Hill UI.
This game has a very similar vibe to Silent Hill or Resident Evil in terms like it's an actual honest-to-God survival horror game. It doesn't necessarily seem that way when you immediately boot it up because it does obviously have that like science fiction aesthetic, but you're moving a character around with fixed camera angles, you explore it. It seems like you're waking up your character wakes up on the ship after being I guess you were probably cryogenically frozen, I guess, for space travel, and then your ship crashes on a planet and you wake up and your ship is desolate and it's overrun with alien creatures or whatever. So you're exploring. It has this like cool like VHS, or not VHS, but like CRT like filter to it too, which gives it this kind of like old school vibe. But you're moving around like Resident Evil. You're collecting ammo. You're finding clues to solve these puzzles that allow you to navigate the ship. And it has, I don't know, it just has this really creepy, cool atmosphere. But like, let me tell you, the kind of the tease, the end of this demo, you eventually make it off of the ship, and your character like kind of wanders off onto this like unknown planet, and you find this like hole in the ground. It's like snowing. You find this hole in the ground, and he kind of like walks down this like stairwell, and he finds this like hole in the wall, and he crawls through it. And then I swear to God, it's like Silent Hill: The Room. You end up in like a bathroom. It's like you crawled through a hole in the wall, and you're back in the apartment. You know what I mean? It's like. It's weird. It's
and
creepy.
there's just a naked dude standing there awkwardly on the other side.
Man, this game again. I didn't know what to expect going in. This comes out in September. Easily top of my list for most anticipated for the year because I did not expect it to be such a honest to God like love letter to Resident Evil and Silent Hill as it is.
We do need to move on, of course. But this is more of like the general vibe of what we're going to get from a lot of these things here. Do you think, can there be too many love letters? Are we getting to the point where every indie game is a love letter to a game of the past? And
well, here's the thing. These are
a lot of them nail it, but at some point they're still just all love letters.
No. But here's the thing. These are demos. These are demos. It's easy to get that impression from a demo, but you could be completely subverted by the time you actually play the full game. It's hard. I feel like it can be really challenging to convey a sense of originality in a demo. I mean, clearly, it is of a genre, but like there's still a lot of room for it to do original stuff. And there's been a lot of like survival horror games that have kind of done this kind of thing in the past, but like. This game struck me with its atmosphere almost like right out of the gate, and I think it can be hard, especially these days, to really nail the atmosphere and create that like creepy vibe when you're going for this kind of aesthetic and stuff. But like the sound design and kind of
have covered horror and atmosphere pretty well.
They have, but man, I don't know. I think there's a lot of opportunity for this game. Has a lot of potential to really live up to it and nail it.
How come no one is making indie games? No one's making indie games based on classic Tomb Raider. You know, the influences are always the same. It's always Metroid and Silent Hill and Doom and stuff, right? How come never classic Tomb Raider?
They
Come
should
on.
make games based on old bad games too.
Yeah, shut up, Chris.
Let's make indie games based on really, really outdated movement schemes.
How come nobody's ever like, this is my love letter to Gex?
I'm pretty certain that's probably been covered by now.
Pretty sure if you dig
You can
deep
call
enough,
it
there's a love
outdated.
letter to anything.
You can call it outdated, but the way I see it, just like a lot of these indie games that will pay homage to something like Resident Evil and also have like tank controls and stuff, you know, it's not so much that it was just old and bad. It was just they were going for a very specific kind of thing with tank controls and the cinematic camera angles. And I think the classic Lara Croft movement like style and the way those levels were designed was something that was very specific, and I understood why they did it that way, and they captured something with that, and no one else wants to fuck with that, and it pisses me off.
To be clear, I don't have any negative opinions about Tomb Raider. I was just being a bitch.
I'm glad Tomb Raider 37 in chat agrees with me.
A new subscriber too, Tomb Raider 37. Thank you, Tomb Raider 37.
He just lurks at every stream waiting for someone to say the word Tomb Raider again.
Let me real quick before we move on to Signalis. This game is like if you took Resident Evil with like all of that, the ammo is super scarce, like all that tension that it builds with that stuff, and you cross it with something like Event Horizon. Like that's kind of the vibe I'm getting, like just the creepy spaceship with just like I don't know, it fucking it taps into that stuff really good. So I'm totally excited for this. It comes out in September.
Let it go, Crispy. Let it go.
The game is called Signalis. Also, like, dude, you go into the cockpit of the ship and you're like pushing buttons on the fucking thing and trying to like you're interacting with the ship and doing like cool shit like that. I don't know. This game's gonna be special.
It seems cool. Like I saw a trailer and I'm like, this looks cool.
Okay,
and you know what? It is. Next game, Chris Davis.
Can you take off from the planet and fly into space seamlessly?
Oh, shut the fuck up, Crispy. No, you can't.
All right.
Next game.
How about we cool it down with some melatonin?
Oh, there we go.
There's a game called Melatonin.
I played this, but is Nolan here?
Nolan has vanished.
How long has my webcam been off?
Oh, I thought you stepped out.
Oh, God, he's been here the entire time.
We were respecting your privacy.
Dude, I never left. Like I looked up and I was like, how come I can't see myself?
What were you doing? Were you politely nodding along the whole time?
Yes, dude. Yeah, I'm like over here. I'm like, oh yeah. I'm like listening. I'm watching.
During
the
Signalis,
footage.
he was actually making a stink face the whole time. Like, you'll never know.
And he was acting like he was smelling something poopy.
Yeah, sorry about that. Well, speaking of poopy, that's not this game.
Oh,
Brad, so how much of this did you play? Yeah, okay. So the only reason I would even use the word poopy is my ability to play this game, because this game is hard.
Well, so this game is a direct, like, spiritual influence, whatever, because that's the theme of the night, to Rhythm Tengoku or Rhythm Heaven. I don't know if you've ever played those games, but but they're kind of like WarioWare, but I mean, it's the WarioWare people, but they're like music and rhythm games, and they have these like mini games that are very, like musically driven, and you're doing something goofy, like in this one, you're catching pieces of pizza right? But there's different. You're kind of following along with the music, and there's different, and they come out in different patterns depending on like what the song is doing or whatever it is. Yeah. If you've played Rhythm Heaven, you know immediately what this is, because it's like absolutely inspired by that, and they kind of nail that in a lot of ways.
Here's a question, guys: are there too many love letters?
No. So hold on. So what I will say is what's kind of different about this is what you're watching is me. I just, for most of these games, and I meant to ask Chris Davis, if you could fast forward like halfway through this footage, you'd actually see what this game really is. Because the early part is really a tutorial. And so what you saw me when you saw the metronome and the beats and the 1, 2, 3, 4 hit, that's fine. That is not the game. That is teaching you what you're going to be doing. When the game starts, you don't get those beats. You have to know when to hit it. You have to learn when the beats are coming and how this particular mini game is played. And it gives you a tutorial. It allows you to kind of figure it out. But once you start going, it goes beyond what it even taught you. Like it's like throwing new shit at you. And first off, the visuals are fantastic. I love the art style. Oh, it's great.
The art style is good. If I have any misgivings about the art style, it's that, again, direct spiritual successor to Rhythm Tengoku. And the thing about Rhythm Tengoku is like every level had like kind of its own unique look, almost WarioWare style. And there was like a lot of different looks and characters and different kind of charm. Here, it's all kind of like a similar aesthetic, like sort of this indie, comfy. It's a really nice look, but they all kind of like have that same vibe. But you know, I mean, it's a
and also to kind of go into a little more, because I don't want to spend too much time because we have a lot of games. First off, you see a lot of movement and stuff on the screen if you're watching the footage right now. I will let you know, all I am doing is pressing a single button. That is all you do in this game. There are not multiple buttons. There is not like you're not dodging. All you do is press a button to the beat. It's just you have to learn when to do that. I skipped a level earlier, because Chris Davis fast forwarded the footage, and that's fine. We can just keep going where it's at now. But there's like a shopping level, and it's all about, you're buying items, and as soon as the items will appear, it'll be like item, 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 item. And you have to get that kind of pattern down and then swipe a credit card for each one. But then the problem is it'll start skipping them. So it'll go item, 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 and then you have to figure it out. And once again, you don't have that little, like if you're watching the footage, the tutorial of it kind of teaching you, oh, this is when you're supposed to press it. Once the game starts, you have to remember all of those times of when this happens, I have to do it 3 times real quick, or you have to remember the pauses.
I think I actually kind of prefer that. There's actually another game we're going to talk about tonight that relies heavily on getting a rhythm, and in that game, you're like, I'm so focused on watching the indicators, and I feel like there's less attention being paid to the actual beat. So I kind of like the idea of learning the beat, because it forces you to just learn it as opposed to just focusing on a thing on the screen that's telling you when to push it. So,
but another thing I will say is the times when you have to press, it is tight. The window for like when it is like a good versus a close versus a miss, it is fucking tight. And so it's like one of those things where even I was like, do I need to adjust the delay on this, because I feel like I'm doing pretty good, but I'm missing a few. And so because we kind of jumped around in the footage, like we saw early on, there was that dream level that was about food, and obviously there's a demo, so there's lots of different levels about lots of different things, kind of WarioWare-esque. But the food one, at one point, all of a sudden it kind of zoomed out and there were some clouds in the way. So you were like, your vision was partially obscured. So you can't even see everything that's going on.
Not only do you listen to the beat.
Yeah. It's not even just about the getting the visual cues, because now your visual cues are partially impaired. And so it is also, I need to know the slight visual cue for what style this is, because is the pizza box or the hamburger container coming at me really fast, or are they going to do a lob throw of the food at me? And so it's all about like kind of just, it's so like much like understanding the beat of this song. I would find, maybe besides Chai Tai, hard pressed to see anyone beat one of these levels on their first try. I never got I think on one level I got like 3 out of like 4 stars on
I know
one.
who good David, because David's obsessed with the Rhythm Heaven series.
Yeah, he is.
Oh yeah. But yeah, so I'm very much looking forward to this one. Ironically, even though it's called Melatonin and like it's like half asleep games or something like that, you cannot be on melatonin or half asleep when playing this game, like whatsoever. Like you have to be on the ball. But yeah, this one's pretty good.
This looks good. Do you know if this is coming out this year?
I think so. I'm not 100%. But what I will say also, in addition, if I just have to go based on this demo, we're in this level, there was like food, there was tech, there was shopping and whatever, but then at the end of the level it's like a combination of everything. You have to like do all of them at this like in unison. It'll bounce back and forth between each one, and it also like the rhythm like speeds up and stuff. So it'll it's apparently September 2022, so in a few months.
By the way, real quick aside, that was Jason Smith in chat a while ago.
Nice.
From
I know. We mentioned, I was trying to get it out, but it wasn't that he just tweeted us and said, hey, I'm the developer of this game that you're going to talk about tonight. He was like, no, I'm a fan who used to watch your shit way back in the day.
Yeah.
All those like Brad videos. And it made me feel really old that we've been doing this podcast so fucking long that he was probably some punk-ass little 13-year-old watching dumb Fatal Frame videos, and now he's making games. And,
Good games. Cool video games
Cool
too.
game.
But I did pull up the tweet and I confirm. Yeah, I was like, yep, that's him. So
I feel,
shout out.
I feel kind of bad that I said he might be egotistical.
You should, as you should.
Damn it.
You should feel bad.
Well, I mean, how many people that go out and solo make a video game on their own aren't a little egotistical?
Wait, what is his name?
Come on.
Jason Smith. All right, you mean in chat?
Does it say like a Jason
that's
Smith? No, does it say like a Jason Smith joint or something like that?
I couldn't tell you. I couldn't tell you for sure. All right.
Doesn't.
What's the next game, Chris
All right.
Davis?
The next game is one I would like to talk about. Speaking
Go for
of
it.
love letter throwbacks,
Here we go.
I would like to talk about Agent 64 Spies Never Die.
I knew you were going to bring this up.
It's a
This
love
is-
letter.
This
This
is
is-
a love letter to the original Perfect Dark and GoldenEye 007 from the 64. And Jesus Christ, is it so fucking close to that feel?
Are you kidding?
and
This is
aesthetic
beyond
and
love
everything
letter,
about it.
dude.
I mean, it is.
This is beyond love letter.
I mean, it's almost blatant in just how much it just takes from that
It's got
original
the same
rare formula.
animations. Like the
It is.
same,
It's basically the same animations. It's the same basic sound effects that are going on. It's the same kind of movement and level design that they built in those original games. It's really good, and it's actually pretty fun. There is that classic rare Nintendo 64 auto aim that you have based on your camera perspective, but it's got that precision aim as well that you got in the 64 games.
which did not work
terrible
very well
precision aim.
But it's not good precision aim. It's actually kind of hard to actually aim properly, even with your mouse. So
See, here's the thing.
It's too much of a love letter.
Yes. I mean, part of me is like, so just kind of like, oh my god, it's like nostalgic as hell, obviously, but it's also
it
like,
controls like shit.
but it's also teetering on the edge of like, can they do this? You know what I mean? And I thought like they would. I thought they would keep like the same. Like it's okay, whatever, if they want to use like the same animations and obviously make it kind of like a wink, wink, nudge, nudge type of thing, which is obviously what they're going for. But I thought they would at least fix like the control. Like imagine GoldenEye with all of its design and charm kind of the same, but like it actually felt good to play.
oh, this actually feels good to play.
I don't understand.
Does it?
Yeah, I like it.
Well, I
all
mean,
could
again,
think
the
about was
auto
that-
aim it was pretty generous, right, in this game.
It is pretty generous. I would say maybe perhaps a little bit more generous than GoldenEye was. I don't think it's like to the game's overall flow detriment. I think it works really well. Again, it's the cool thing is that it's so dedicated to that classic formula. Like difficulty levels not only increase enemy presence and damage you get, but also additional objectives you have to complete. So I'm playing on, I believe, Secret Agent, which is I guess medium or hard.
They call it Secret Agent.
Yeah, they call it Secret Agent.
That's the fuck. Okay, I have a question. Oh my! Okay, Chris Davis. I want to be totally real. I was looking at this footage and then I looked over at you and I was waiting for you to finish your sentence and I was about to be like, Chris Davis, I just need to know, is there a bathroom where you come in through a vent? And are there remote mines? And I look over, and you're dropping down from a vent into a bathroom. And
Here's the good news.
urinal.
Can I see
Here's
a
the good
depiction
news.
of Sean Bean's face made with only 3 polygons?
Here's the good news about them being sued is that the property of like GoldenEye on 64 is so fucked. Like no one knows who really owns that thing. It's like impossible to re-release. I don't think no one knows what lawyer is actually supposed to sue this developer really.
Yeah.
But they're pretty sure it's somebody.
Somebody probably, but no one knows who.
Someone
Yeah.
should do something about this.
Honestly, the person who owns it probably doesn't even know that they're the ones that could take legal action.
I mean,
It's that muddied.
I guess the two major improvements I would cite in this, compared to like those classic games, is number one, enemy count in areas does feel significantly higher. You'll have upwards of a dozen AI.
It's probably also because it's a little bit easier to aim your gun.
Well, no, it's
But
it may be part of that, but I think just the overall balance, it works a little bit better. Also, you now have co-op companions that actually give a fuck and are useful in combat. Like I ran into this one area and there were like 3 guys that were helping me take out a bunch of guards.
Okay.
The AI nav pathing in comparison to those classic games actually works. It's not a fucking nightmare.
Oh.
Yeah. I have one question about this. I mean,
dare you fuck with
I'm kind of torn because part of me wants to play this and part of me is kind of like, but like, does this whole thing feel like, is it all kind of tongue in cheek? Like, is it all like a joke because they're acknowledging that this is basically GoldenEye, or is this like, does it take itself more seriously than that, or is it just purely meant to kind of like tickle the nostalgic sinners in your brain?
Just a tad more nostalgia. The problem is I can't answer that question properly because there is 0 story in this demo. It is a single level and that's it. There's no story dialogue, no nothing. You're just dropped into a level and you go.
Fair enough.
If you want to chase that GoldenEye high, play Perfect Dark. And if you play Perfect Dark, play the Time Splitters games. And after that, just get over it. Yeah, they were okay.
All right. One, Nolan, your camera's off again. 2,
what the hell?
What's the next game, Chris Davis?
The next game we shall talk about, I choose Moonscars.
Okay, this is me. I don't know.
Sounds like space horror.
No, it's actually not space horror. In fact, this is a Metroidvania / Souls-like / This is actually, to me...
A love letter?
Yeah, it's a love letter.
A like letter.
I'm gonna be honest. This feels like Blasphemous meets Castlevania to me because like it has an aesthetic to me that feels more like a Castlevania. Like I honestly, again, like I'm kind of breezing through this with not focusing too much on story stuff. I'm just trying to get a feel for like the atmosphere, like the tone and the mechanics and stuff. Because if I get excited about these games, I'm gonna want to actually play them and like really get into them. And this very much right out of the gate, it's very like dark in tone in terms of like it's super sorrowful and like it's talking about there's a lot of like religious iconography and just blood and demons and fucked up shit. It reminds me a lot of Blasphemous, but the kind of like the visual style and like the character design reminds me a lot of Castlevania. Like I don't know if this guy's a vampire, but he fucking looks like a vampire to me. And it had it has a pretty
Kane.
Yeah, it does look a little bit like Kane from Legacy of Kain. But it's a side-scrolling Metroidvania. It's got some cool level design. It's got some really cool like Twitch-based combat. It actually reminds me of on some level it reminds me of like Hollow Knight in terms of it's like being kind of a Souls, like a side-scrolling Souls game, because it also does have that Souls hook, which is obviously if you die you have to go collect your experience and stuff. So it's got like all those things together. But yes, this is a love letter. 2. It's good. It's pretty cool. This is pretty cool.
Pretty cool.
I will. It could be cool. It could be cool. I want to say this. It's got it seems like a really big skill tree. I didn't really delve too much into it because I was trying to like blast through as many demos as I could because I didn't start these until pretty late in the week. But like combat feels nice. Feels like it packs a punch. The platforming feels good. The level design looks cool, and I was a big fan of Blasphemous. I know some people here maybe less so, or maybe some people here prefer more of kind of a lighthearted affair. This does not seem light in any sense of the word. It seems dark and fucked up. But you know me, I like that shit. So yeah, not much else to say about Moonscars, but it's definitely a game I'm going to be trying because it's very much kind of harkening back to Blasphemous for me, which was a great game. Also,
this can't be a love letter to Blasphemous.
No. It's not a love letter to Blasphemous. I mean, but it's a love letter to the same thing. Blasphemous was a love.
To Dark Souls and Castlevania. I get it.
Metroidvania, Castlevania, all that, all that good stuff. I do want to say the visual style I really like because it's got this kind of like oil painting, like everything kind of, when you pull back, everything like looks kind of detailed. When you kind of look closer, everything looks kind of like it's painted on. It's got a cool aesthetic.
I'm tired of indie games that look great. You watch these fucking like these summer games fest things where they have like 100 indie games and they all have like incredible fucking art styles. Why can't we just get a game that's great that's just ugly as fuck? That's what I really respect about Bloodstained. It was an homage to Castlevania game.
It was ugly though.
Shit,
dude. No,
it had to prove itself with its gameplay.
You're both wrong. God.
I knew that was
lot
gonna
of
happen.
hate.
Hey, I'm just kidding. Bloodstain's fine. There are cool things mechanically speaking here. Like there's a lot of like physicality to it. So like enemies can rush you and you can like block and punch them back and like hit them into spikes on the wall and shit. So like it's got some cool stuff in there. Nothing that's gonna like super original, but man, if you like those games, you know which games we're talking about. This is a no-brainer.
It's going to be incredibly uncomfortable if he chooses another one of mine.
Okay.
Chris Davis, what you got?
What's next?
Okay. Well, let's not make it uncomfortable. I
think he wanted you to.
How about Lost in Play?
Oh, that's me, Nito.
Oh, look at Nolan hitting us again with one of these cute games. Look at that.
Yeah,
that's pretty cute.
Completely original indie game, no love letter.
Definitely not a love letter to point and click adventure games. This one was pretty interesting. I kind of saw it. I saw that it was kind of point and click adventure. I saw that it had an interesting art style, and I was like, let me check it out.
Of course, it's gorgeous.
So, no, it is very nice art style. I don't know where this was developed. I don't think it's an English-speaking company. They don't speak English in the game. It's kind of like a made-up language that they kind of just make noises and stuff. Think Sims or something like that. But the whole thing is it is very much any kind of Monkey Island or something like that. Point and click. You're going around. You're trying to interact with things. This is just the very beginning of the game, so it's like it's kind of slowly teaching you stuff. How to interact with stuff. But once I got past the tutorial, it's like, I woke up in the morning, and my brother was asleep, and so I wanted to wake him up, but then the alarm clock didn't have the little twist knob on it to make it ring, and so I have to click on this and interact with this, and so it's kind of all about that style, but a little more fantastical, I guess. As you can see, little weird stuff's going on.
It reminds me of the point and click adventure games from the people that made Machinarium. That they're more like kind of think outside the box puzzles, maybe, right?
Yeah, for sure. Here's if you're watching the footage, there's a little puzzle I have to do with you've seen them before. It's 3 lights, and you have to, if you click on one, the one next to it turns off, and so you have to kind of figure out the order to click on them. So there's some puzzle element to it as well. So I didn't get a chance to finish the demo, but it's definitely, I'm probably check it out. It also makes you think of what was that one, Broken Age?
Broken
Is that the
Age,
game? Yeah,
Double
very
Fine?
much gives from Double Fine. Gives me vibes like that.
Prince of the Universe says this looks like CBS Kids art style. Is that accurate?
Sure. I could see that. The art style is similar to that, but I mean, it's also one of those things where, to an extent, I could see it almost being like a timeless art style. It's one of those things where, as good as it looks now, I don't think it's gonna deteriorate. 10 years from now and look so bad that it's gonna. It's one of those things where, it's Wind Waker-esque. That style is timeless to an extent. It's still going to look good down the line.
It looks charming as hell.
Yeah. I found a little tea party, and I have to fill up their teacups and whatever.
It's a frog wearing a crown and a duck wearing
aviator
glass.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't want to spend too much time on this, just mainly because I think it's one of those things where it's hard to describe. It's a puzzle game. You go around, you collect things, you use those things you collected to solve puzzles later on. You don't have the thing to solve this puzzle. You need to kind of click around the environment to figure out. I mean, it's one of those things that's fairly obvious what you can click with. It's not going to be one of those games where you're literally just trying to click on everything. It's fairly obvious what you can interact with.
This is called Lost in what? Lost in Play?
Lost in Play. Yeah. It very much reminds me of, the first thing, kind of little actual development I ever did back when I was, very early in college, was I made my own kind of point and click adventure. Unfortunately, I'm not an artist, so mine did not look as good as this. But it was a similar concept that, you're like, I'm trying to get from point A to point B. But even though I'm already at point A, maybe the exit's here, but I can't interact with it yet. So I need to go solve, something to, in that game, it was like a space, you were in a space station, and you had to oh, move over here and figure out a way to make this. There was like a key on top of a light, but you couldn't reach it, so you had to figure out a way to kind of throw something at it to knock it down. It's like if you've played a point and click adventure, it's like that. This one definitely has like a charm to it, though.
I like games like this a lot because of the fact just the puzzles are not built around like centralized systems or mechanics. It's like it's kind of like Professor Layton in a way, where it's like like the next puzzle you get to could be totally different from the puzzle you did before. Like each watching the footage in this demo, it's like weird puzzle with the key, and then the tea party, and I don't know, the sundial thing was cool looking. I don't know. I like it.
Yeah, there's a couple of puzzles like that. I mean, I didn't, like I said, I didn't play the entirety of it, but there was definitely a couple of puzzles where it's like, interact with this, or when it came to that alarm clock. Oh, I had to I had to find a screwdriver so I could take off the screws on the back of the alarm clock so that I could access the battery compartment to put a battery in. Stuff like that.
Ooh. If you like the look of this, Nick, look up the game Happy Game. That's also by Omni Designs. It's basically like this, but extremely fucked up and more your flavor.
Yeah, Happy Game is definitely more Nick's alley, yeah.
Wow, thanks. All right, next game, Chris Davis.
Okay, I want to talk about a game that I think Brad might be just a little interested in. It is called Nitro Kid.
Nitro Kid.
I
didn't even see this one.
This is a roguelike card deck builder.
Shit.
You basically play as a Bruce Lee knockoff who is infiltrating this this computer factory thing where evil 1980s style things are happening. And you're using cyber kung fu moves using cards to damage enemies and move between rooms.
And it's tile-based. Don't forget
this
that.
Looks very fights in tight spaces. It's
very much fights in tight spaces. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very inspired by that. Yeah. So you get each round. You got 4 action points. You can spend them on cards to play. Most of your cards will attack every enemy that's around directly next to you. So left, right, front, and back. And you can move at least once per turn to get out of enemies' attack range. There's also a little bit of Into the Breach kind of puzzle gameplay in it, especially with the robots, because their actions will be specific to what's immediately in front of them in the grid. So they can knock enemies into one another and damage one another and things like that. So it's strategic to kind of move yourself around the field properly and get your attacks in with the right cards at the right time.
You know what these games are actually, this and Fights in Tight Spaces are actually a love letter to? The thing I think of most when I see this shit, Metal Gear Acid. Oh, I miss that series so much. That's such a cool series.
I never played Acid. I wanted to, but I never got a PSP. So
never took acid.
Yeah, never took acid. But this was all right. It's not really my cup of tea, but I thought that Brad might be interested in it. It is very small rooms, and every time you beat a room, you get a free card. And then every few rooms you go, you get to a store which you can spend your cash that you've accumulated to get special abilities and roguelike things. It's pretty all right. The game doesn't have a release date at this point. But I would recommend at least giving it a look or trying out the demo. I think most of these demos, by the way, for Steam Next Fest are still available.
Yeah, I noticed that too this time.
Which is, honestly, maybe the way it should be. Like what is the point of taking? Like, what exactly is the point of taking if the demo is available? You you could just leave it up until the game releases, and that's.
I think the original concept was just to it's marketing, but it was to drive people to Steam for a short period of time, to bump up numbers, to get eyes on stuff. But the problem is, similar to you, Nick, I didn't play a single demo until like Sunday. It's like one of those things where I just didn't have time, didn't have a chance, and finally get it. And it sucks in Steam Fest pasts, events like this, where it's like, oh, I forgot, I didn't get a chance to play any of the, and they're gone. Oh, great. Well, fuck me. I guess I'm not going to play that game then because I didn't get a chance to check out the demo. Yeah, like I don't necessarily think they need to have a demo forever. I understand that there's potentially hosting issue, whatever, but I think having it just like a week or something is kind of not really fair. Like, give it like a month at least.
Exactly.
I am installing both Into the Breach and Metal Gear Acid 2 on my Steam Deck tonight.
But he's not installing the Nitro Kid demo. Just
Just
want to
a
point
demo.
that out. All right, what's next, Chris
Okay.
Davis?
All right. How about we talk about a big one that we're excited for? Metal Hellsinger.
Yeah, okay.
Played this.
So yeah, I played this because woo, metal. I'm into that. I love it. And let me tell you, this game is really fucking cool. It's like playing Doom 2016 with like a heavy metal, like literal heavy metal artists have like produced the soundtrack, and like it uses music, so you have to shoot enemies to the beat, which is a really cool concept. And
Quite a
as
bit of
you,
rhythm games tonight.
yeah, quite a bit.
Not just that, but this is a love letter to BPM, which was an indie game
Yeah.
that came out last year with this exact same premise.
It was.
A Doom-style shooter with a rhythm mechanic.
You're right. I think kind of this is also developed. This is going into this. This is developed by people who have a deep appreciation for heavy metal music. So like the entire soundtrack is produced by artists, like actual heavy metal artists that have well-known artists, especially in the metal scene. So if you listen to metal, everyone here you're probably going to recognize in some sense. And on that note, the soundtrack is fucking chef's kiss. It's awesome. But the cool thing about it, and wait, what's up?
I mean, I just
You're
wanted
so
to ask:
basic.
do you think this is going to be the least played game on Twitch because of the soundtrack?
So they did say, I did see a thing where they said they have worked with Twitch to and with the license holders and whatnot to do is everything that they can to avoid that exact situation. But who knows? We're gonna have to kind of wait and see how that pans out. I don't think I'm gonna be playing this on the feed because of that exact thing. But the trade-off is like if you listen to metal, this soundtrack is so fucking good. So it's just worth playing on that level. But it uses music in a really interesting way. And I didn't play. What was the game you just mentioned, Brad?
Beats,
BPM.
bullets per minute. Bullets per minute.
BPM. Yeah. I actually had not played that, but I'm sure it probably does something similar to this. But like the cool thing about this being all of these licensed artists is that like it takes the music, and as you're keeping a beat, so you're trying to shoot enemies to the beat. Which honestly, let me tell you right now, preface this by saying kind of what Nolan was saying earlier about what was Melatonin. I think it was Melatonin.
Yep.
I'm not very good at this. At least right out of the gate, I'm not very good at this. I don't play a lot of music and rhythm games. And to me, the act of trying to move around like a very fast-paced first-person shooter like Doom, while also trying to keep a beat and like fight the instinct to just like fucking shoot enemies, just willy-nilly, is really hard.
Were you wearing headphones when you were playing this, Nick?
Yeah, of course I was.
Okay.
Of course I was. But like the reason this is cool, is that like the music as you're getting the beat, you're earning multipliers, and then you're collecting items that also boost the multiplier, and it goes up to I think 16 times. The 16x multiplier is the highest, or at least the highest in the demo. When you hit the 16x, the vocals kick in, so everything is instrumental. And then
Nick,
when you hit 16x, the vocals kick in, and it's fucking awesome. What?
I gotta say, this ain't pretty, Nick, but it's brave of you to record footage here, because I know you're usually pretty picky about your footage.
I'm very bad at this.
This reminds me of the games journalist that said the music in Devil May Cry 5 sucked because it never kind of kicked in, like the music never kicked in, but people were like, well, it only kicks in when your combo is going really good. That's why you never heard the music, because you're so bad.
That's not what I'm saying.
So I'm wondering, how much vocals were you actually hearing?
Let me tell you. I can tell you exactly how much vocals I heard. I played this demo all the way through twice, with the exception of beating the boss, because the game, like I said, is challenging, and I'm still kind of getting used to everything, getting a feel for it. I played it once with the controller. I played it once with the mouse and keyboard. Mouse and keyboard went better, but not by much. I was hearing vocals because it tells you at the end what percentage of your time was spent at the 16x multiplier hearing vocals. Mine was 6%. So I was only hearing vocals.
I had a hard time with
6%
this
of the
too,
time.
to be fair.
But here's the thing: like even when you're not hearing the vocals, like the music is like it's as if those bands, those artists, were producing instrumentals. And if you're into metal, that's totally fucking fine. But like how it when you hit that 16x and the vocals like seamlessly kind of cut in and like everything just gets like super visceral. Like it's so satisfying. This game is gonna be great, but I'm terrible at it. That's all I'm trying to say. Is I'm terrible at it.
Nolan is familiar with this type of game because he played a shit ton of Crypt of the Necrodancer, and the trick is you need to always be on the beat, even when when your thing is not pointing at an enemy. You need to be shooting. You need to be reloading. You need to be doing the skull, which has infinite ammo. You got to stay on that beat because that is your lifeline. Yeah. And lining up your reticle is just the thing you do second, right? That's how you have to think about this game. Keep the beat going and hope that enemies will be in front of your cursor as you're hitting it,
This is the only demo.
I would echo that. Sorry, go ahead, Nick.
I was just going to say, this is not reflective of like the other games that I played, but this is the only demo from Steam Next Fest that I played more than once. I played it twice.
Are they... I'm sorry. I was just going to say, are they offering the soundtrack as like a download?
I don't know the answer to that question, actually.
Probably
cool.
But
if they did, and I bet you'd buy it, and you'd be listening to it and go, "Man, I don't know 94% of these lyrics."
Well, I mean, this is artists that I know. In fact, I listen to most of these bands, most of them, not all of them.
Okay, never mind. I'm going back to not chiming in.
I know. I'm sorry. I know you were trying to make a joke. You were trying to get.
No, I wasn't trying, Nick. I succeeded excellently.
You were making a joke about not understanding metal lyrics. Nick. I get it.
No, I was making a joke about the fact that you were...
Wait, what? You cut out there.
You only heard the lyrics 6% of the time, you said. You were only at the multiply. Oh,
okay.
Yeah,
you got the joke.
All right, I'm done with the show. I'm out of here. Guys.
I am curious, Nick, based on the demo, does it feel like the game is going to be more like linear campaign levels, or is it going to be mostly arenas, or what's the balance?
No, it's linear. It's like a Doom level.
Yeah,
it's linear,
this is not a level design game. This is
it's a story too. You're playing this like demon god, so like you have wings, you can fly around, you can double jump and shit. The story seems pretty cool, to be honest. So I will definitely be playing this poorly. That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
I've never been very good at like Guitar Hero or Rock Band or anything. And this is just taking that thing that I'm already not very good at and layering it on top of like also trying to like manage enemies on a screen and avoid bullet fire and stuff like that. But either way, it's cool. The music is cool. Even if you suck and you don't get the vocals, the instrumental shit is really good too.
Okay.
I recommend the Pistols. It's kind of getting to that groove.
Yeah, the Pistols definitely help. Okay. Here we go. Guys, why don't we didn't quite get through all of them in one segment. Why don't we take a break and come back and finish on the other side? We can make sure Crispy is okay. Crispy's left us. He's abandoned us. I ruined his joke. I apologize, Crispy. Come back. When we come back, we'll finish up the last few demos. We'll talk about that Dragons Dogma news, and then we'll answer a couple questions. Yeah, I don't know what that is. Okay. Anyway, so if you're watching us live, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Like I said at the end of the last segment, we didn't quite make it through all the demos, so I swear we're gonna pick up the pace a little bit. But there's still some good stuff to come. So without further ado, Chris Davis, hit us with another demo.
Okay. We are gonna start off second half with a Nolan joint. It's Cult of the Lamb.
I love joints. I mean, Cult of the Lamb.
This was on my list of games to play, and I ran out of time.
No, that's all good. It's pretty good. Cult of the Lamb. It is. How would I describe this?
Binding of
Isaac.
I've heard it described as
Isaac meets
Don't Starve.
Don't Starve. Yes.
Yeah, with the little like
heard.
cutesy lamb character, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes. So that's the best way I can describe it. So you are a lamb who is sacrificed so that you cannot become like the representation of like a demon, like incarnate, like their like figure, but that just kind of makes it happen anyway.
Very
And so
metal.
now you start a cult for this demon,
Satan.
and you're kind of, I don't know if it's technically Satan, but so now you're trying to gain followers for the cult, and so you go around in these kind of dungeons that I'm assuming are like procedurally generated. Oh, sorry, I know for a fact they're procedurally generated because I wanted to pause the game and do something, but then I killed the game and I restarted, and the dungeon was completely different. So procedurally generated dungeons where you have, you find unique weapons and abilities for that dungeon to go around collecting, gold, items, and whatnot to bring back to your camp where your followers are. And in that camp, you can expand it. So, similar to like Don't Starve, you're trying to collect food items that you can turn into meals to feed like your
So
followers.
you're trying to
and stuff.
expand your cult.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Yeah.
the opposite of cultic, where you're trying to massacre a
Yes,
cult.
very
Cool.
much. You're trying to spread the word.
It's
So
like poetry.
you're-
It rhymes, Nick.
Yes. What? Okay.
He was making a Rich Evans joke. So anyway,
Please, it's a George Lucas joke. Okay, come on.
that's true. Yes, sorry. Yes, you were right. Thank you, Crispy. Rich Evans was making a
I was
joke about George
paraphrasing
Lucas.
George Lucas.
Thank you for correcting me. I'm a fool. Anyway, sorry, I was trying to think about this game. So while you're off on your adventure, you can run to like lots of different obviously it's very roguelite. You're finding these tarot cards which give you temporary boosts and abilities and stuff. You'll find unique weapons for this particular run. You can kind of choose them. An axe that's more powerful but slower versus a dagger that's faster but less damage, stuff like that. And you're going around, defeating enemies in smaller rooms, collecting resources for yourself on this run. So like health, almost like mana type material, and whatnot. That is just for this particular little like dungeon crawl you're doing. But then you're collecting actual like permanent resources that you'll take back with you. Unfortunately, the demo is fairly short. All you do is that initial, hey, I'm dead. Here's a kind of brief tutorial about how dungeons work. Hey, here's your first follower. Hey, you build a little campfire, build some food. All your followers, you can give them tasks. So you can assign them, hey, go chop down some trees to collect wood, or hey, go break up some rocks to collect stone so I can build stuff. They very, very slowly do that. And then, hey, now go off and find more followers. Then you are on a monster train / what's that other one that everyone likes?
Hades? I don't know.
No.
Play the Spire.
Slay the Spire. Thank you, Brad. Monster Train / Slay the Spire / Peglin map where you kind of have some branching paths and you have to choose which one you want to go down. You have a slight preview of what's down this path. It might be enemies, it might be resources, it might be something like that. And so you have to choose which path you want to go down. Do the little dungeon in there, and then go off to the next one. And in this demo, the final area in this particular one I went to is a boss. You defeat that boss, and then they turn into a follower of your camp, and that's where the demo ends. So it's like it's a pretty short demo. What's up?
So like you're recruiting the bosses that you fight to like join your cult?
It's
Or at least
yes
in
and
that
no.
instance?
It's like one of those things where it's like you fight the boss and they're like, oh, 10,000 power level, and they become your follower and they have like 2 HP. It's like one of those things where it's like they're definitely not what you just fought.
This motherfucker.
Yeah, but it's a kind of one of those things where when you defeat them, they look like this big powerful boss. But then when you defeat them, they turn into this small, like minuscule animal, and they're like, "Oh, help me!" And then you're like, "Oh, fine, I'll recruit you into my cult."
I do like this idea, just like cutesy cult thing. I don't know. It's pretty. It's cool.
Yeah,
it looks neat. It's a Devolver Digital game, right?
Correct. Yes. But yeah, so far the demo, like I said, while it was short, I enjoy what I played of it. I'm definitely gonna check this one out when it comes out. But yeah, it was definitely fun. Like I said, very much roguelite. Isaac meets Don't Starve.
Sweet. Sounds cool to me. All right, what's next, Chris?
Okay.
Davis.
I want to get one of mine out of the way, if you don't mind.
Sure, go for it.
I want to talk about a little game that got a little press called Midnight Fight Express.
Oh yeah.
This
Another game I
is
downloaded and didn't get around to.
it's
Cool
it's
title.
pretty cool. It is a single person developed isometric brawler. With where story is present, but it's not necessarily like the focus of the game. It's told from a
Well, in service of setting up like ridiculous scenarios, right?
kinda, yeah. You basically, it's one of those retrospective narratives where you're being interrogated by the police and you're telling your story as you play through levels.
That's kind of cool, actually.
Your
I mean, I know
character,
I know it's not totally original, but it's kind of a cool idea, especially in this context.
It's more of a
I
love
think.
letter, Nick. Is how I would describe
There it is.
it.
I mean, I think we know what we're calling this episode, right?
the love letter.
Yes.
Okay.
No, I thought it was Fisto Robato, but okay, I'll go with love letter.
Yeah.
What if I just did that? What if I just called this Fisto Robato just for you, Nolan? Writing that down.
Yeah, basically the premise of the game is that you are some kind of deep cover sleeper agent who's lost his memory named Babyface, and you have to go and defeat all the crime in the city. And the city is filled to the brim with crime.
Of course.
That's basically it. So you're just going through areas and you are just defeating every single person that tries to attack you, and then just moving on to the next level.
And how's it feel? How does that combat feel?
Combat feels pretty good. It's I would describe it as kind of Sifu light. There's an emphasis on stringing together punches to generate combos and parrying and dodging and things like
Isn't
that.
this Batman-y?
I wouldn't say it's Batman-y. It's not got that like cancel animation to parry or counter stuff going on. It's really you really got to kind of time your parries if you want to execute a counterattack. And I wasn't able to develop the kind of rhythm that it requires. But that doesn't mean just a little more experience you wasn't able to figure that out. It's visually it looks good. I really like what they're doing with the soundtrack here. I think the developer did everything in this game, not just the gameplay.
That's pretty wild.
It is. It's pretty wild. It's not butt rock, but it's good enough kind of background rock music, basically. And it's fun. The combat really strings well together. There is a significant emphasis on using your environment and scanning your environment to use dropped items and things on the ground. Anything from like a baton and a pipe wrench to a pistol or throwing a lawn chair at somebody. And the violence is surprisingly gratuitous. At one point, I picked up. At one point I picked up like an explosive, like big old propane tank or something, and threw it at a guy, and he just fucking exploded into blood. And I was kind of shocked by what I saw.
There we go.
I
think it's worth mentioning.
Right.
I think it's worth mentioning that this game, this is one of those demos that is still available.
Mm-hmm.
I'm willing to bet most of the games.
Most of these are.
Yeah, I'm willing to bet most of the games we've talked about tonight are demos are still available.
How many
So
more of these do we have left?
We've got 5 more, I believe.
All right, let's pick it up. Pick up the pace. Let's go.
Go.
Next.
Go.
Okay. Well, the next one we will talk about, I'll skip mine and we'll
You
move on to one.
gotta speak faster, Chris Davis.
Calm your tits.
The
okay?
next one we will.
The
talk
next
about
one is Selaco.
Ah, yes. Game of the
Yes.
fucking show. This game. Anyone else play this game? This
did.
game is fucking.
No,
this
I
game.
play good games.
I had trouble getting this running.
I
on my
played this for an
Steam Deck.
hour.
Oh yeah, I don't know how well this runs on Steam Deck. At least not the demo, anyways. But like, this is what you might. At first glance, you might think of it as like a boomer shooter type thing, kind of in the same vein as Cultic. But like, this is like one of the most fast-paced. Like, it's more like Fear than
It's
Doom.
a love letter to fear. Just say it.
It's a love letter to fucking Fear, dude. Yes, it is. But like with the kind of like visual aesthetic you would associate.
No, this
with
isn't a love
a
letter to
boomer
fear. We're
you
talking about
kidding me?
Selaco, not Trepang.
No.
They're
I mean,
both love letters to fear, Chris Davis.
Trepang is like is definitely a love letter to fear, but this game is like a love letter to fear without also looking like fear. That's the distinguishing feature between those two games, and we'll talk about Trepang in a second.
This one's a
This
Dear
game-
John letter.
This game is so colorful and fast paced, and like the AI is good. Like it's just like Fear in terms of like the enemies will flank you, they'll like bash out windows to go around you, and the weapons feel so fucking good. Oh my god,
Yes.
I can't even begin to
That
praise the weapons. The shotgun's made, dude. I pulled out a pistol and I pulled the trigger and a dude fucking exploded, and I was like, I have no idea. I was not expecting that from this pistol. But it's great.
Did you try the alt fire for the pistol though?
Yes.
It's a 3-round burst of the same exact ammo.
Oh my god, chef's kiss, so fucking good. This is a game everybody should play. I'm actually sad that it's not coming out this year, because if it was, this would probably be my most anticipated game of the year at this point. This game is so good, and it's got like really intricate level design as far as I can tell. My only concern is that maybe I hope the levels are varied, because I could see if the entire game kind of has this look to it, I could see it getting to the point where everything kind of looks the same. But if this is just kind of representative of like one level or one area, then that's great. Because it's a lot of like kind of learning the map, finding the secrets, finding the shortcuts, finding the key cards that you use to access new areas, and doubling back. And man, so good, so good. And that's how we're gonna keep it short and sweet.
Nick loves boomer shooters.
I do love boomer shooters, man. I like boomer shooters that feel good, and this game feels so good. It's so fast. I would never associate a boomer shooter with feeling this like just fast, man. It's so fast.
You've heard of Doom, right?
But like, yeah, this looks like classic Doom, but feels and plays more like Doom 2016 and Fear.
No.
Like it. I mean, I would honestly say it's a little bit more 3D Realms kind of inspired with its level design and enemy, not necessarily enemy variety, but enemy kind of flanking and tactics and things like that.
You're right.
It is considerably tough, but there's a lot of environmental interaction that you can do in here. A lot of secrets you can find, a lot of compartments and codes and puzzles to kind of run into. This entire demo is set in like one single level, and again, I played that entire level for an hour.
It's good. It's good.
It's really good.
It looks real nice. Got that really sweet vibe. Also, when you zoom in, it's got this nice like kind of blurring effect. Whatever. We got to move on. Selaco is fantastic. I also realized I misspelled it in the overlay. My apologies. There's no T in this game. It's Selaco. I put Selacto. That's not accurate. All right,
Jeez, that's a slur, Nick.
Next game, Chris.
Okay. We're gonna talk about that other Brad game, 9 Souls.
9 Souls. Maybe skip ahead a little bit in this footage. I don't want to spend too much time on it.
Well,
I think there's a little bit
you
of
got a 2-minute trailer here for me, so I can't skip forward that much.
Okay. Well, this is a cutscene of a game that's going to look like something different in about 30 seconds. I didn't want to talk too much about it, Chris Davis. So, this is like one of those, this side-scrolling game with nice art and
what is
kind
it
of inspired.
To? God damn it!
You know, Metroidvanias and Souls-likes. You know, that sort of thing. It's got a really cool look to it with a really cool with a really satisfying like parry mechanic. And you'll see some of that combat here in a bit. The thing is, I feel like there's a lot of games that are look like this, that are good these days. But the reason I made sure I wanted to try this one is because this is actually Red Candle Games, the developers of Devotion and Detention, which are like,
really?
Totally different.
Yeah, that's a Taiwanese developer who makes like these horror games that are very like rooted in a lot of like cultural things. Related to like shit that's going on there, and this is very much not like that kind of game, but you can immediately tell it has like DNA that you'd expect from that developer. Like I found the beginning of this game like super intriguing, and it didn't take long to get kind of fucked up with some like people sacrificing the children of their their tribe to like a techno god or something, and it's a pretty fucked up scene involving heads getting like mutilated.
Holy shit!
But it looks good and it feels good, and I'm glad to see Red Candle Games kind of really stepping out and trying something different and making the kind of game that
I know we say this about a lot of indie games, but this game has a really good look to it.
It does.
I know. I'm sorry we say it so often.
So I liked what I played at the demo. It played really good, and I'm probably definitely going to try this when it comes out. It's called Nine Souls with no U in Souls.
This is also a 2023 game, by the way. So just trying to call out the games that are slated for this year versus next year. This is 2023.
Although we should say that a good number of the games don't even have release dates at this point.
That is true. But there are a few that do in this one, or at least Windows, and this one there.
I'm done. Move on.
Yeah. Sorry. Next game.
Okay. We have actually just two more.
Okay.
Okay. I'm going to talk about a weird ass fucking game. I want to talk about Angerfoot.
Angerfoot. This came up last week, I think, at some point. This is the one where you it's another rhythm game, right?
It's not a rhythm game, but there's a heavy emphasis on the music. This is from Free Lives, the fine developers behind Broforce and Genital Jousting. Quite the pair there. It is a Hotline Miami-esque first-person shooter with a really fucking weird art style. It's a...
And you're kicking all the doors in.
Yeah, your character is named Angerfoot. Meleeing with your left foot is your primary attack unless you find an actual gun in the game. And you're just going through hallways and levels, just killing all the enemies in your way and just progressing to the next level.
It seems like the hook here is like the physics of like kicking doors, because it kind of, as you kick things in, it causes chaos.
It's absolutely satisfying. I believe that your melee attack is entirely always a one-hit kill. Same with every weapon, I think. Like, as soon as they get hit with a bullet or something, it's an instant kill.
This seems a very Hotline Miami.
It is. This game is fucking weird. Like, I find this interlude scene here with Angerfoot's girlfriend, and you're feeding her popcorn with your foot. It's so fucking strange.
Wait, you don't do that in real life?
No, I'm not that ambidextrous.
I feel like we just learned something very important. Oh my god, he's picking up wine with his feet. Okay, this is so bizarre.
It's the real kick behind this game, beyond just like the visual aesthetic, is the music. There is a heavy emphasis on really hard bass and bass beats. Kind of like
goes
in
well
Eastern
kicking
European
indoors. Yeah,
and it's the music. Like some of the games we talked about tonight, the music really kicks up based on the action of the scene you're playing. It'll fade out between like action scenes. But yeah, it's really fucking heavy bass going on that really kind of drives you forward and makes you keep just wanting to play the next level. It's fucking weird, man.
Yeah, but this interlude scene with the feet has gone on way too long.
It's got a great loop to it. It's one of those instant restart games. You can die very, very easily. You take like one or two bullets and you are dead in this game. But you can just pretty much instantly restart. Like, also it's kind of funny when you die. The enemies just start dancing to the music that's playing in the background.
That's funny.
Over your corpse. It's real fun. I like it. I never played Hotline Miami, but this one is really.
This is one of those times. I told you this shit happens all the time.
Yeah.
Who has not played Hotline Miami?
Chris Davis hits us with another hot just reveal about a game he's not played.
But no, this game has like kind of an inadvertent beat to it in its gameplay. I really like it, and I would encourage anyone again to try the demo. Physics,
yes, got good physics. All right, last game of the night. You don't even have to surprise us. We haven't talked about Trepang 2, so that's what we're talking about next, right?
Yep, we are talking about Trepang.
We're gonna finish off this night with Trepang 2. This game is fear. It's fear, dude, and
it's fear minus the horror.
It's still kind of creepy. Okay, so like this is like Fear, but you are actually like being held captive in like a government facility, and so this like secret organization basically breaks in and cuts you loose, and you're trying to figure out who the other organization is and why they cut you free. But you're trying to escape this like government facility after being set free, and it is fucking. Can you fast forward to this footage a little bit, because I don't think we're gonna be talking about it long enough. This is a cutscene at the beginning, but it looks like Fear. It plays like Fear. It wears its Fear inspiration on its sleeve, and you know what? It's fucking fun as hell. Like I'm super excited to play this game now. It wasn't even really on my radar until I played this demo. I think if you're like a Fear super fan, like some people who will remain nameless, I think there's probably enough there's enough like subtle differences in the gameplay where you could probably easily identify why Fear is probably still the quote unquote better shooter, like the more satisfying, or the
honestly the AI and the combat loop in this game is it's so good that I would compare it to Fear, and maybe even say it's better.
It comes real close, and I'm trying to preface by saying that like it's trying to be Fear, and that's trying to be the bar is very high, and I think it comes about as close as humanly possible to replicating that Fear gameplay loop. Guns feel nice, the fucking lighting is insane, and it's just super fast paced. The physics are fantastic, and the guns feel amazing. Like Chris Davis said, though, the only thing that's kind of lacking, obviously, is the supernatural, at least in the demo, the supernatural like horror element. There's no Alma not following you around with the spooks.
What about the dust and debris? After a firefight, can you barely see 2 feet in front of your face?
Sometimes, yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, there's fucking shit flying everywhere, and like firefights.
You're like trying to solve a puzzle or some shit in this footage. So
I keep skipping forward, trying to.
I want to see some action.
Find combat.
Skip forward a little bit. Just keep going. You can if you want to leave it rolling after we finish talking about it until something cool happens.
All the boring parts of Fear.
Oh, here we go.
Okay, apparently something's gonna happen.
Fear definitely has some slow moments.
But
like
this fucking shotgun, man.
The shotgun feels fantastic, but there is something, even though it doesn't have like the ghost element to it, that feeling of being hunted is what makes it kind of scary. Like I'm hiding. I'm like, you have to turn your flashlight off in certain areas because enemies will react to your flashlight. So you are actually literally trying to avoid contact with the enemy, or just so you can sneak by them sometimes, or avoid firefights if necessary. Because firefights you can get overwhelmed pretty easily, and It's all very tight quarters. But
it's all about ability management, because you have 2 abilities. You got the slow-mo ability, but you've also got like a very quick stealth cloak that you can use.
Yeah, and there is a supernatural element to this, because your character has been experimented on, so you have like weird powers. So you have that, and I guess you're trying to figure out too, like what's going on there, like what is that all about? But you can use those to your advantage in combat. But yeah, we can move on. But this game, if you like Fear, this is the closest I've ever. I mean, there's been a lot of games that kind of like pay homage to Fear. This is the closest I think I've ever seen a game come, and that's great because it feels nice, feels really nice, and it got me excited. It got me wanting to play Fear again. But yeah, it's called Trepang 2. Check it out. I'm pretty sure the demo for this is available still as well.
I mean, if you think about it for more than 5 seconds, the level design doesn't kind of make any sense at all, the way it's structured and the levels are set up. But I think the cool thing, I don't know how far you got in the demo, Nick. I don't know if you finished it. But
I played it. I didn't finish any of these demos, to be totally honest.
Okay.
What an asshole.
It looks like this isn't necessarily a linear level-by-level game, because you end the demo going to like a hub area with a map and a selection screen of missions to go on. So
I didn't get there. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, you
I don't know, man.
Play through more of it. It's interesting. The final encounter, I say, is a really good demonstration of the capabilities of the combat in this game.
I don't doubt it. I mean, and I was pretty intrigued by kind of like the story that was there, as little as kind of subtle as it was. But like, man, this game wasn't on my radar. It is now, and I think this is slated for coming out this year. So, I'm pretty into it.
Also, one final thing about it: it runs really well.
It does
I
run
was
really.
honestly shocked.
I kind of want to try it on my Steam Deck too and see how it runs. But yeah, it runs pretty nice.
Yeah.
So guys, that covers all the demos we wanted to talk about tonight. I know there's a lot of them. I'm gonna put the name of all the games we talked about in the show notes. So if any of these sounded interesting to you, check them out there. And like we said, I think a lot of these demos are still available, so go check them out. But now let's move on from Steam Next Fest. Let's talk about the big news. I'm gonna be honest. I didn't even watch this event because I keep holding these stupid events while I'm driving home from work. But I had the Discord channel open. I was watching people react to the Dragons Dogma 10-year anniversary video, which that was weird, right?
I saw that Dragons Dogma has a peak players of all in the past 6 years.
Yeah, since this event was held. And I think we were all expecting it, right? We were all expecting the Dragons Dogma 2 reveal. Like, why would you make a 10-year anniversary video for a game like Dragon's Dogma and not announce the sequel, right?
People were somewhat disappointed by my reaction, but because I wasn't like flipping out. But we sort of covered that
for a logo. You know what I mean?
Well, there were two problems with this whole announcement. Number one,
I was what the fuck? Sorry, go ahead.
As the only person who liked Dragon's Dogma.
Oh, shut the fuck
up. Go ahead, Chris Davis.
I was saying there were two problems with this announcement. Number one, it happened at the exact same time as the Final Fantasy announcement.
Yeah, we're talking about that.
And they were both only like 10 minutes long, so you could not like catch both at the same time. So that was bad.
But they were both released as like videos too. So
yeah,
it's kind of like.
Also, the other thing was that this was a project announcement. They didn't have anything to show. They showed off shirts and announced that they were making a new Dragon's Dogma.
They showed a logo.
Yeah. Which is why I was disappointed. And people were surprised. A lot of people were super excited because people love Dragon's Dogma, and this is an announcement of Dragon's Dogma 2. But like I talked about in the last episode, is I view like the Capcom hack and the NVIDIA list as not like speculation, but as more or less fact at this point. So I knew Dragon's Dogma 2 was in development. I was excited to finally see something, and I was anything. I was just, I wanted to get the feeling that the game was going to be coming in the near future, because it has been in development for a long time. It's been in development since Devil May Cry 5 came out. And, this was just, they didn't even, it was nothing. It was just a title screen. It wasn't even really animated all that well. I just, the original Capcom hack actually had this releasing before like Street Fighter 6, before the Resident Evil 4 remake, and those will probably be getting pretty soon. So, and because this was slated to come before them, I expected this game to be further along to the point where we could see something. When I think of Dragon's Dogma and excitement around Dragon's Dogma, it all comes back to like the gameplay and that world and the combat, and that's the stuff I wanted to see, right? I knew this existed. What I want to see is that they're making the sequel that we want, which is, what does Dragon's Dogma look like 10 years later? And we still don't know. And that's why I was really bummed out. I was really kind of building up when they said, oh, one more thing, I was like, okay, this is it. And it was just, hey, we're working on it. And it's underwhelming. They'd done that before. They did that with the Resident Evil 2 remake, which was like a poorly kept secret. And then when they finally announced it, they said, hey, by the way, we do it. We're doing it.
Yeah, but
that was it.
The difference here is that we expect, Dragon's Dogma in the next year or two. The Resident Evil 2 remake was announced during pre-production, and it was 3 years out from its actual release. So,
that makes this even more perplexing.
Yeah,
because they almost certainly have something they could have shown us, but they didn't.
Yeah,
it's incredibly exciting to me. It was a no new information announcement.
And this is another thing that I found to be very strange. And this is only strange because I think it happened in such rapid succession. But like between this event, the Final Fantasy VII thing, which I thought was which we'll talk about in a second, was also kind of a non-starter despite announcing something that's inherently exciting, and the Capcom thing last week, which was just a total dud, despite the fact that they like promised to talk about Resident Evil 4 and like others. All
that Monster Hunter fans were so happy. So happy with the shit they showed. Also, did you ever watch those DLC trailers?
We've seen so much fucking Monster Hunter. I'm excited for Sunbreak as well. I've been playing I'm just saying
They've
seen
shown
so much. We've seen so much Monster Hunter.
Little amount of Sunbreak.
I tuned into that Capcom thing last week because I wanted to see our first look at Resident Evil 4 gameplay, and they showed about 5 seconds of gameplay.
Did you ever watch the DLC stuff?
Yeah, I'm not really interested in it. So like,
that stuff looks. I mean, that stuff got me excited. Third person.
I guess. I mean,
cool.
It's just like I went into the Capcom thing, kind of like you go into the Dragons Dogma thing, expecting some kind of exciting reveal for Dragons Dogma 2. We also got the Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 2 announcement, which I'll be honest, I just watched for the first time right before we recorded this, and I found it to be very underwhelming. And the Capcom thing, it's just like, why are they Resident Evil 4 is coming out in March. Why are they not pulling the curtain back and showing way more of that? Because that game is playable from start to finish at this point. It's got to be.
Yeah, but do they really need to? It's Resident Evil 4.
If they don't need to, then don't tease us with like 5-second snippets. Just don't show it.
I just want to say that people are also extremely excited and impressed by what they've seen and showed of Street Fighter 6 as well.
Sure.
Which was also at the Capcom event.
Yeah.
I know. I am just not a fan of this, like, announcing something but by saying, we're working on it. We look forward to showing you more. It's like they did the same thing with Final Fantasy 16 in a lot of ways. Like, they're finally starting to pull the curtain back on that, which is great. But like, it's not fun to hear someone come out and say, hey, that thing that you want, we're making it. We'll show it to you later. Like, if you're going to show it to us later, just don't say anything about it until you have something to show. Anything at all. Like, Dragon's Dogma didn't even have a cinematic teaser.
So
like,
here's why I think this happened.
Teaser.
Here's why I think this happened. Dragon's Dogma 2 has been a very, very poorly kept secret. Ever since the hack, ever since the NVIDIA thing, people know it exists. This was the 10th anniversary of Dragon's Dogma. I think they just use this as a convenient opportunity to make it a little less awkward.
Well, it's one of those things where they couldn't not say something. At the 10-year anniversary, they couldn't not say, yes, officially, we are working on it.
I mean, honestly, like, how many games these days, except for, like, huge successes, get 10-year anniversary celebrations? You know what I mean? Like, to be honest,
it's very common in Japan to have these little events.
Yeah.
I know Dragon's Dogma is popular, but I still consider it to be kind of a niche thing. I know, like, it's not...
It was niche until it blew up on Steam. It really, really went crazy.
But there are a lot of games that are... There are a lot of good games out there that don't even get acknowledged on their 10-year anniversary. It's just like you said.
Like what, Nick?
You
it's
say
a
they
cult
did
classic.
it. You say they did it to make it less awkward. I think they made it more awkward. That's all I'm saying. This whole thing feels super awkward.
I mean, it's still an announcement of Dragon's Dogma 2. I mean,
I know. I mean, that's
most
fine.
people that weren't me and you, Nick, were incredibly excited.
They could have done it in a tweet. That's all I'm saying.
What?
Hang on.
People, the shirts were cooler than a tweet.
Hang on. Nick.
What's up?
What is one of these really good games that they didn't acknowledge?
I mean, I'm saying, like, not every game gets a 10-year anniversary video. You know what I mean?
What is a game that Capcom is neglecting?
I'm not saying. I mean, Dino Crisis, Onimusha. Are you kidding me?
Dino Crisis.
They're like the games that I really want from Capcom are all being ignored completely. Like they pretend like those games don't even exist. So
Capcom Hack did have some Mega Man and Onimusha thing. We might hear about those soon.
It did?
Sure. But you know what? My argument here is if they're going to announce an Onimusha game, I don't want it to be like a quick, like, hey, this is happening. Here's a logo. We look forward to showing you more. I would rather them wait and just show us something more later. If this is a total non-starter. But anyways, we spent too much time talking about this. Dragon's Dogma 2 is happening, so that makes me happy. That's all. I mean, of course I'm happy. It's just hard to be excited because this announcement just felt like such a wet fart.
You're not going to buy a t-shirt?
It's hard for me to be a new level of excitement, is my point.
Yeah. I'm just glad it's being acknowledged that it's real at this point. So what did y'all think of the Final Fantasy VII thing? It's weird. They announced a remake.
Yeah, that was all right.
They announced a remake of Crisis Core? Is that what I'm hearing? Okay, so
correct.
A remake of Crisis Core. I don't know who wanted that, but okay, cool.
It's a remaster port. Let's be clear.
Do y'all like Crisis Core? Do y'all like Crisis Core?
I
did not like
played Crisis Core. I don't really remember it.
Yeah, I'm with Nolan. I
Because
don't
this was
remember.
I don't like it. I mean,
think it was
I've
2008.
I've been on record of kind of hating every Final Fantasy thing related to Final Fantasy VII that isn't Final Fantasy VII.
No.
And Crisis Core is part of that. I'm not a fan.
I am totally on board with you there. I
Very
think
Nomura.
there are two different like groups of like Final Fantasy VII fans, and I think there's the people who like really love the original, and like everything else after that is just kind of like noise. And then there's people who really loud, kind of like Kingdom Hearts, but like everything Final Fantasy VII, like post Final Fantasy VII, it just feels very Kingdom Heartsy to me. And I've just never really been into that. I think Final Fantasy VII Remake was great. I mean, I put it in my top 10 that year. I thought it was great in a lot of ways. I thought what they did at the end there with the twist that we've all been talking about for years now was cool, I guess, as a kind of an unexpected twist on the whole thing. But now that I'm seeing kind of like where they're like what they're teasing, they did announce that there's going to be 3 games total for this remake, right? Which is interesting because obviously that kind of like reins in our expectations for what this is, right? Because like you can't make Final Fantasy VII on this scale, on the original scale, with this fidelity. You know what I mean? Like
I don't think it's gonna be that. No,
it's gonna be ridiculously different and much smaller in scope, I think.
Final Fantasy VII is a globe-trotting epic that took 3 discs and very little time actually exploring continents to actually tell the story.
Right.
So
you got to remember they already did Fort Condor. Fort Condor was in the DLC, the Yuffie DLC. So
my god,
it's a minigame.
Right. This project is officially weird, and while I am like kind of interested to see where they take it, and I'm not closing myself off to it, I feel like maybe I'm a little less excited about this Final Fantasy VII remake than I was.
They really didn't show much in that trailer, that's for sure.
No, I mean the trailer didn't do a lot to really spike my excitement either. And like Slade is in chat wondering if the third game is going to be open world. I don't think this game series is ever going to go quote unquote open world.
Are you saying that there's 2 an address in the first one?
Wait, sorry, say again?
I said, are you saying there's too much cloud and address in the first one?
No,
like
I would look
too
more
much of their expanding cloud and address.
They should make the entire third game with cloud and address. Totally into that.
Well, that's what the mod community is already doing. So.
Let's do it. Let's fucking go. You know what? They found some really creative ways and interesting ways to be a love letter to the original Final Fantasy VII, and I don't doubt they're going to continue to do that here. But I don't know. This whole project is just now it seems to me officially weird. But weird can be good. I just don't. I am so kind of like I don't know how to feel about this project right now.
I mean, the interesting thing to me is that the way they've written the story of this trilogy is that it's not bound to the rules and laws of the story of the original title.
And that's what I'm talking about. Like, that's the twist from the end of the first one, which is a neat idea, but it obviously gives them kind of a way out too. Like they officially have written themselves a way out of remaking Final Fantasy VII.
It's a good idea, but Nomura cannot be trusted with that idea. It's going to go so dumb. And it could have just been a pretty faithful remake that played with expectations at key moments. It's not that.
Brad, what can Nomura be trusted with?
Well, Kingdom Hearts. Let him go wild with Kingdom Hearts. That's
wait,
But don't forget. Wait, no, he can't. There's a quote today. There's a quote today.
That says, I was like, Brad's already forgotten the quote that happened today, which is what, Brad? What
he says that Final Fantasy is not a key part of Kingdom Hearts or whatever.
So I will reiterate: what can Nomura be trusted with?
He can be trusted with character designs. You know,
he can't. He can't be trusted with character designs. What the hell are you talking about?
He did character designs for Final Fantasy VII, for Final Fantasy X. Awesome, iconic designs in some respects, but you know what? He should have stayed a character designer. He should not have been given the keys.
He should not have He absolutely should not have, because with every game he plays or designs, he adds about 35% more belts for characters to wear.
But listen, Chris Davis.
How many of those characters' pants are on the ground? 0. Those belts are doing their job, Chris Davis.
That's true. And Lulu has the most belts, and that's an amazing character design.
You're right. You're absolutely right.
Yeah, but that was also 2001.
No. All right. I think we've covered enough of this. Let's move on. God, that quote made me so... Okay. Guys, we are coming up. We have about 26 minutes here, so I'm going to do some quick questions. Again, guys, this is kind of a packed show, so I do appreciate you writing in. We're going to see how many of these we can get in. If you are interested in writing a question for a future show, all you have to do is go to discord.gg/4player. There's a thread called Submit a Question. You can post your question or news topic or talking point or whatever in the thread for the next episode. So let me see here. Okay, our first question comes from Cracknacker. He says, is there a console you own that holds particular sentimental value to you, and if so, why?
Sentimental value.
Sentimental value. I mean, I'm going to say no.
So I will say yes. So I will say my PlayStation 3. It is the OG fat PlayStation 3. I got it with the release of Metal Gear Solid 4.
Same here.
It still works. So it is. So no, it does not. I got the yellow light of death. Yeah, how many years ago? Oh, not red, yellow. So it, in theory, the only issue is like the solder just kind of like it got too old. In theory, it could, if I took it apart and tried to resolder everything, it could still be saved, which is one of the reasons I still have it, because in theory I could still fix it. But it is the one that obviously it has the 2 disc readers on it, so it could read OG PS2 games as well as PS3. And it's just one of those things where it was also the first console I bought with my own money, I think.
Right.
I think most consoles before that were like gifts and or like birthday presents or whatever, or this is the first one that I actually went with my own like hard-earned money and purchased.
Yeah.
So that's why one of the reasons I still have it sitting right over there, even though I can't turn it on at this second. And eventually one of these days I'm probably going to take it apart and resolder it to get it going again. But yeah.
I just did a mental inventory of all my consoles, and I'm like, I don't think I have... the ones that I did have sentimental attachment to have either been retired or they broke or whatever. So like everything I have now is relatively new and has no like special meaning to it.
I feel nothing for my current hardware.
Yeah.
I'd say maybe not a console specifically, but I have a whole retro setup hooked up to a CRT, all hooked up through S-Video, just ready to just plug and play. And I was so proud of like setting all that up, and it's always ready to go. It's even got a stream hookup via like a capture device, so I could just play all those old consoles, like when we do these throwback months or whatever that we've done in the past. But the lasers on a lot of or in the drives and stuff on a lot of my old systems have started like dying. My Saturn doesn't quite work right. My Xbox doesn't quite work right. My original Xbox doesn't quite work right. Now my GameCube is kind of crapping out, and it sucks. I had a lot of fun putting that together, and it is really cool to be able to, like, when we do one of those throwback ones, just play all the original games because I have a ton of old games. But man, I mean, the hardware, it craps out, and this shit has gotten so inflated. The secondhand market for this shit, because of stupid collectors, drove up the prices in dumb ways, and it's just a bummer.
I mean, go ahead, Chris.
I was just gonna say the ones I would have answered would have been my original PlayStation.
Yeah,
because that was like when I was a kid. I mean, it's same thing like what Nolan was saying. It was the first console that I was like, oh, I really want one of those. And I think the reason why I really wanted one of those at the time was because there was a lot of those old LucasArts Star Wars games on PS1.
Yeah.
So I saved up and I went to the store to buy it, and like my dad is there with me in the GameStop or the EB Games or whatever it is. And the dude's like, "Hey man, PlayStation 2's coming out in a few months. Maybe you should just like, save up and wait for that." And I'm like, "No sir, I'm leaving here today with a game and a console." And he's like, "Okay, whatever, dude." And I really should have listened to that guy, but fuck that. I left that store with a PlayStation 1 and a copy of Monster Rancher 3.
Nice.
Okay.
Which I didn't even play that much of, but it was really fun making monsters, and I showed it to my dad. I showed my dad. I was like, "Look, you can put CDs in the disc, and it makes monsters out of them." And he was like, "Oh my god!" And he like went and got all his like fucking Eagles and like Simon and Garfunkel CDs and everything.
That's awesome.
It was really fun.
Awesome. I have held on to most of my systems since my childhood. I still have my original NES top loader, for example, and they I think they're all still in working order. I haven't plugged them in a number of years, but they still work. I guess I'd like Chris.
Well, you don't actually know, do you?
I mean,
He's
hoping.
blissfully ignorant.
One
That's
day
all.
you're gonna go to play, and it's gonna be dead.
It's Schrodinger's console. It works and is dead at the exact same time.
Yes.
But no, like Chris was saying, I do have an attachment to the PS1. I got one, I believe, for Christmas, but I immediately knew I wanted one and was desperate for one as soon as I played at Game Fellas, if you remember that place, the demo for Metal Gear Solid 1.
There we go.
I immediately knew I needed it. It was also my first foray into trying to do modding too. I got the model that was the pre-May 98 that had the parallel port in the back, so you could plug in like third-party cartridges to it to go into developer mode and play import games.
Nice.
So I was able to play a bunch of stuff that never came out or over here. Yeah, I guess that's the main one I would point to.
Real quick, I just remembered. I realized I have my original N64. That thing is a tank. It is in a box somewhere. I assume, like Chris Davis, that if I were to plug it in, if I had a TV that I could actually plug it into, because I don't have anything anymore that I think has. Actually, maybe I think I have something with a composite connection. I don't know.
Is that the one that we used as the time machine for that video we did a long time?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. So that's sentimental value right there, but also because I got that for Christmas. It was when I played GoldenEye for my entire that entire day when I got it for Christmas, and obviously I have fond memories of playing Ocarina of Time, which is one of my favorite games of all time on it. So yeah, that thing is a tank, and I assume it still works. I still have it. It is not connected, nor has it been connected in a very long time, but it still exists. All right. We're gonna run through a few more questions. Let's do these ones a little bit quicker. Doppelganger says, top 3 snacks or food you like to have while gaming.
Well, I just discovered my favorite snack. So
start throwing some out there. We don't need to do like top 3. That'd take forever.
I was at Sam's last week and I discovered everything cashews, and I have fallen in love.
Everything like
Brad is trying so hard not to laugh.
It's cashews with the everything bagel seasoning, and it's amazing.
That's interesting. Okay.
I'll go lasagna, Caesar salad, and tiramisu.
Lasagna.
What?
While he's sitting there in between rounds.
Seriously, sunflower seeds. It's one of my all-time favorites. I'm also the past little while I've really been into Pop-Tart bites.
What?
What Pop-Tart bites? They're great.
No, they're
specifically the cinnamon sugar ones. I'm not a big fan of the strawberry Pop-Tart bites. That's it. That's all I can think of.
I'm gonna go with Haribo gummy bears or pretzels. Pretzels. Can't go wrong with pretzels.
Twizzlers or like Sour Patch Kids.
Nice,
so good.
Nice.
The pull and peel Twizzlers are the best.
My preferred snack is whatever was on sale that week. I guess we got groceries. Next question.
That was a boring answer, Brad. Okay,
Yeah,
next question. Negative cosine. What is the better tech for virtual worlds? A Star Trek holodeck / danger room, or a Matrix style jack into a system? Does that make sense?
Love
Yeah.
love
Like the
jacking
same
in.
thing.
Like, is
Uh,
it creating a facsimile around you, or are you putting your consciousness into a computer?
Yeah, so that's
I
the
think,
difference between
Yeah.
the two.
I think we all know the correct answer to this
Well,
question.
the
You're gonna go
Matrix
with
is-
Star Trek. Gonna go with the holodeck, aren't you?
Well, okay, my argument for the holodeck is that, like, it's just as real as anything else. Like, holodeck technology is essentially like replicator /
Shields?
transporter technology, just in reverse. You're taking energy and like turning it into matter. Like, things feel like matter, right? If you're in a holodeck alone, there's absolutely no like physical limit to how far you can go, to the space you can go. And you don't have to install like plugs into your central nervous system
Yeah.
in order to experience it. And holodecks have safety protocols. So you can go into a holodeck and not get killed. And also sometimes holodecks go crazy and like fucking Moriarty from Sherlock Holmes comes running out and like starts murdering people on the Enterprise. And it's like, wow, this is crazy.
But can you learn kung fu?
No, okay, is that, hang on, I don't know. Is that
The
part
holodeck
of-
can teach you kung fu, but you're not going to
Can it,
instantly
though?
learn it.
See, I think the instantly learning thing is kind of a deal breaker.
You
Like-
can learn kung fu in a holodeck. You can learn it the honest way, Nicholas. You can learn it the honest way.
Nah, fuck that.
Not just uploading it and then you forget it as soon as you pop out. Also, I get the whole like comparison between a holodeck and a danger room, but like the danger room is like cool, but like come on, man, the holodeck is way more advanced.
Yeah.
Nowadays they just depict the danger room as being the holodeck, but whatever. Like holodeck 1000% all the way. It's just a room you go to. It's like, I don't know, it's way better. Way better.
All right.
Way better.
Our one more question I think we have time for tonight. If I didn't get around to your question, it's our fault. It went too long, but I'll get to him next week. So our last question tonight comes from Zero Skies. He says, if you had to choose a console to play the entire library of, which would you choose?
Wait,
Like,
so hold on. Is that yeah, let's
You had
preface
to
this.
play every game in that library.
You
No
have
exceptions.
to?
For a
Yes.
console?
For a console. If you had to play every game in the library,
boy.
without exception,
I choose Virtual
one do you-
Boy.
Yeah, I was gonna say something like the Virtual Boy or like the PlayStation Vita.
y'all are going with
a
the
whole
board.
lot.
I
Yeah,
think,
going with the
Because
smallest.
I don't have to play everything. Are you fucking kidding me?
I
You know how
think-
many
yeah.
PS2 games there are?
Okay. You're thinking too much about time and less about the quality of the games.
Wait, what's the point of the question though? Like, is this the only console we get to play ever
Yeah,
again?
that's my question.
No. The scenario is this: you have to agree. Just don't take into time to consideration. You have to
Okay.
pick a console and play every game in that library. Time is not a factor.
Well,
Which
what's my
one do you
incentive?
choose? I mean, you're talking about.
Hold
You're
on.
talking about
Hold
you're
on.
talking about
Nick,
the
you say
ratio
time
of
is not
good
a
games.
factor. You say time is not a factor like it's not, but it is. If I'm having to play these games, then I can't play these other games that I want to play that aren't on that
You're missing
console.
the point of the question. I didn't think this was okay. You're missing the point of the question.
It's about the
point of
quality of
question
the
is this.
experience.
You're thinking about the quality of the library. You have to play everything, which means you're thinking about which library has the best games and which one has the least amount of bad games that you would have to suffer through
These
as well.
shovelware.
The least amount of shovel, like you have to play every game in the PS2 because it's an incredible library. But think of all the shovelware on the PS2 or the Wii. You know what I mean? Like
the
you could
Wii.
play.
Fuck the Wii.
You could play every game on the PS2, which means like all the Metal Gear Solid games, all the Final Fantasy games, like all that shit. But for every one of those you play, you have to play, I don't know, Summoner or something. You know,
I've already played a lot of those good games, so I choose Virtual Boy. That's like what, 8 games, 13 games?
22 actually. And you'll have eye cancer before the end of the next evening.
I don't think that's how it works.
Y'all are taking too much weird shit into account. It's just supposed to be a purely hypothetical thing.
All of these
Well,
are
it's a weird question. I'm allowed to give a weird
you-
answer.
Like regardless, you're gonna have to spend a lot of time playing these games. So like, which one would be worth worth that amount of time?
I want to say PS1.
There you go. PS1.
I think PS1 has the greatest variety of games available to it.
That means you have to play all those Barbie games. Those weird, like, there's a bunch of them.
So there's a few stinkers amongst a shit ton of good stuff.
Also, Kazakh Fools in chat, I did not mean to insult Summoner. I just, for whatever reason, it's the first thing that popped into my head.
I'm pretty sure there's more bad PS1 games than good.
Oh, that's a good chance of that too.
See?
Plus, Summoner has that DLC or the D&D sketch.
Summoner developed by Volition.
So, Nick, I approach this question as one of two ways. If you had asked me if I had to choose one to play for the rest of my life versus one that I have to play every single game, that's very different thing in my. Yes. Well, I understand that, but that's what I'm saying. Is I honestly would choose one that has the least amount of games that I have to play, because I feel like I would rather have the freedom to play what I want than you have to play this. So it's one of those things where it's like I have to play 20 games or I have to play 1,000 games.
Yeah,
like that's the way I approach that.
I think I don't know if you're really getting around like I have to play a bunch of games. So I think my hard and fast rule would be like no Nintendo consoles. You can't do a Nintendo console because Nintendo consoles have way too much absolutely batshit shovelware on them. Like it's
especially the Wii.
The Wii, the Wii U, the fucking 3DS, like even just the regular like DS or whatever had an insane amount of games that make no sense. Like
so that's why I choose like the Dreamcast.
Yeah, sure.
Dreamcast would be good. That
very small set of some pretty good games, and then I'm done, and then I can go play what I want to play.
Dreamcast, yeah.
Would I be weird if I said the PS4?
A little.
Like, you just keep playing a bunch of PS3 and PS5 games.
He's not wrong.
That's a weird question.
That's true. All right. Sorry, I didn't know that was going to be such a weird question.
It just needed some sort of limit. Like you have to play all the games or you can never play any of the games on the system ever again. Something like that.
Yeah. All right. So since that question was so challenging, here's a real easy one. Haste asks, what console would you trust to use as a self-defense object?
Oh.
Original
PS3.
Fucking game, maybe.
No, you use the PS3 because it is so fucking big. You can cave a man's skull in it.
But see, GameCube has GameCube's a good one because it has a handle, so you could repeatedly beat someone with it.
Oh, I feel like PS3 is like break off on the first attack.
A PS3 is like one throw and you're done. GameCube, you could like just beat someone.
You know what you do? You take a Wii. And you fucking murder somebody like John Wick does with that book. When he like fucking just shoves it in the guy's throat and kills him.
Got a good hand shape.
You also get the Wii also comes with nunchucks, Crispy.
It does. It comes with nunchucks, which are cool. And it's small, but it's like there is no space inside. It's not like a big empty
very
box.
Dense. Yeah.
I choose the Res Trance Vibrator.
You choose Teledildonics?
I choose the last PS Vita in the world, and I'm gonna break it.
Oh my god! They'll get like a stack of PS Vitas and throw them like, shurikens. All right, guys, thank you so much for your questions tonight. Again, if I didn't get to your question, you can ask again for next week's show. I apologize. It's been a packed. Oh, sorry. It's been a packed show tonight. So it is time to wrap up with a 4-player minute. So, Brad, you can start us off.
Yeah. Yeah. My final thought here for the episode is I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't really know. There was a Xenoblade 3 event today, and they showed off a lot of the game, a lot of story, a lot of combat. They showed some of the world, but I guess what really bums me out is that it seemed a lot like Xenoblade 1, and that's a fine game. A lot of people really love that game. But, I'm a Xenoblade X guy. And what I do this all the time. I've been following this game. Like, I'm going to play it, but I'm not like hanging on every piece of information. So I always go into like reset era threads that are like pages and pages and pages long about the game. And I just ask a simple question. Hey, have they said anything about this being one single seamless world? And I ask that question all the time. Anytime a Xenoblade thread pops up just trying to get a fucking answer. And recently I finally got a couple of answers that are like, I think maybe they hinted at it here and here. And they had this big long event and they still didn't suggest it. That very first trailer had them riding around in a boat, and vehicles suggest big single world maybe, but I just want to see more. I'm excited about that game, but they just showed a bunch of story. I don't care about a story of a game until I'm playing it, really. So just come on, man. Just tell me that this world is more like Xenoblade X's and not like the other two, where everything is very separated and segmented. And in general, I just have a lot of anxiety about my Switch not being able to run that game very well, because I feel like Xenoblade deserves better than what the Switch hardware is right now. So yeah, that's just where I'm at. Xenoblade.
All right, there we go. Chris Davis, why don't you go next?
Oh, okay. I don't really have a full 4-player minute, but I did for my final thought.
That's what we do now, Chris Davis. It's good you don't have a full 4-player minute.
Well, I'll rectify that next week just for you, Brad.
No.
Yeah. My final thought. So I have beaten Horizon, and the mystery game I've been trying to get Brad to try to guess that I've been playing for the past week. I played through Shadow Complex for the first time. Never played that before.
That's just one of those where it's like, Chris Davis never played Shadow Complex?
Yeah, I never played Shadow Complex.
Wait, based on the Orson Scott Card story?
Yes.
I didn't realize that until the credits ran, but evidently,
oh my God,
yes.
Really?
Yeah. It is a sequel set in the middle between two Orson Scott Card books called Empire. I had to look this shit up.
I have never heard that before, and I played Shadow Complex years ago.
I'm actually upset that I learned this fact.
Yeah,
you guys didn't know this? We talked about
There was a lot of talk about Orson Scott Card when this came out, because he was already like a known piece of shit.
Everyone was... But, that was before cancel culture was a thing, so...
Can someone remind me, what brand of piece of shit is he? Or maybe, I don't know.
Homophobic.
Oh, okay.
Pretty similar to the J.K. Rowling type.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Just,
Wonderful.
So I
and
played
it's there
those
when
two
you go looking for it,
So I've been kind of struggling to find some things to play. I haven't been wanting anything that has a real like time commitment. I've got like Neo, The World Ends With You waiting on me, and a few other things that are just like 40-hour RPGs, and I just don't want to do that. But I was I forgot about Sniper Elite 5, and I really didn't care about it until I saw a video yesterday in which I found out the game actually has an invasion mechanic. And I saw some gameplay, and that instantly grabbed my attention.
Like in
Game Pass.
Sniper?
Yeah, the game where you're a sniper. Well, there's an invasion mechanic where you spawn in as a enemy sniper, and you hunt down the single player character player.
That sounds kind of cool.
It looks pretty cool. So I found a deal on it, GameFly, for like $20 off. So that should be in hopefully before the next podcast, so I can talk about that.
Nice.
So yeah, that's my thought.
All right.
What's coming?
Crispy.
I got 2 final thoughts for you today. The first one, just hanging out today, doing my work, listening to YouTube, and I was watching Monster Hunter videos. Just keeping the hype going, right? I've been playing
right.
a lot of Monster Hunter lately. It's the only thing I've been playing except for a bit of Rogue Legacy 2 here and there, right?
Okay.
I've been all in on Monster Hunter. I'm at HR 120, and I'm just watching all this Monster Hunter content, and they're talking about, like, I'm watching videos about the history of the series and everything, and I was just I was just struck with the thought that I've had before, but it still just felt really good. It was like, man, like, how strange and yet fortuitous it is that we live in a timeline where Monster Hunter, like, finally found its footing in the West, Like, finally made a place for itself, and now this is like a thing that we're gonna have for a while. Like, we're gonna get new Monster Hunter games, and they're gonna be cool, and they're gonna be fun, and like, fuck yeah, I love Monster Hunter. I love Monster Hunter.
World 2 is gonna be such a big deal. It's gonna be
that
crazy.
is gonna be so sick. Like, that is gonna be fucking crazy. I can't even like get past like Sunbreak right now, and then like just to know that like, well, World 2 is probably 1 to 3 years around the corner somewhere, like. Fuck, man, that's crazy. And my other thought. Ooh.
I lost it.
Yeah.
One thought. I had one
I
thought.
lost it. Oh, and I think that was the more important one too.
No.
Oh.
Oh no.
Fuck. No, I don't
have we
remember what it
done?
was. No. Just Monster Hunter. Monster Hunter's cool.
All right, we've been robbed of a crispy thought tonight. If it pops back into your head, feel free to bring it up. All right, Nolan, your turn.
All right, my 4-player analysis minute of time starts now. Steam Fest got me pretty hyped for some games that are coming out. I have not gotten a chance to play Neon White, though. I know it's not part of Steam Fest, but that's another game that I've recently learned about. Excited to play that now, as well as just some of the other games I've checked out. A lot of stuff on the horizon. But I've also recently gotten into this game. I don't know if anybody's heard of it. It's an older one, came out in 2016. It's called Pokemon Go.
No.
I've heard of that.
So I picked that one back up, and I've been playing that a bit. So if people want to friend me on that, I could use more friends to like trade Pokemon and send gifts and stuff. But the only problem was because I put it down for like approximately 5.5 years. I am way behind. There's a lot I missed out on. But I've been playing that a bit lately, especially on like walks and stuff. Oh, okay. I'm sorry, Brad. He did not like that. Talk about Pokemon Go.
Brad is he's hard out at 11.
He's a hard out.
Yeah. But yeah, that's it from me.
All right.
I remember what my other thing was.
Go for it.
Okay. In my personal Discord server.
Okay, I can't hear Crispy talking at all. Is that just me? There. Oh no. I can't hear Crispy at all. He's stopped. He's permanently cut out.
The awkward thing about this is the fact that he's going to have audio from his end, so it's never going to be cut out.
Yeah. Okay, sorry. I can hear you again, Crispy.
You can hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry. In my Discord server, one of my friends hopped into our Final Fantasy channel and posted his character and was like, yeah, I've been dabbling again. I've been kind of working my way through Endwalker slowly but surely. And it's like, ooh, is right. Like, oh no, here we go. Like, a couple months, like probably by the time I'm winding down. Wow, yeah, shit. I don't know, man. Yeah, I don't know. I'm the only one of that friend group that played through Endwalker. They all stopped before Endwalker came out. And I played it.
Oh.
And it was insane, and I loved it. And I've been telling them, like, hey, you guys gotta get back into it. You gotta play Endwalker. You gotta finish the story. Come on, what are you doing? The climactic conclusion to the Hydaelyn Zodiark saga. What are you doing? And
finish the fight.
And now one of them is like, he's coming back. So I think the others might. I don't know. It's crazy. We might be going back to Final Fantasy. Here we go.
That's fantastic. Well, I'm excited for you. Oh man. All right. My 4-player minute starts now. One, I want to say hype. Very, very, very excited after playing Steam Next Fest demos. Of course, I only got to play like 6 or 7 things, but I liked almost all of the games that I played, and several of them I would say rank high on my most anticipated games of the year list now. Cultic being one, Signalis being one, Trepang 2 being one, and I can't stop thinking about Selaco. Oh my god, that game feels so good. I'm very excited. It's a good time to be an indie game right now because there's so much cool stuff coming out. Indies might save the second half of 2022. We'll see. My second thought I just want to have, obviously I've shared this a lot on Twitter. I figured I might as well get it a mention in here. You know, I was really nervous about this prospect of driving to Dallas to meet the cast of Dexter. In fact, I didn't say much about it on Twitter just in case I went there.
You didn't say anything. You didn't even tell us.
No. I mentioned something about it briefly. I tweeted something about like I just spent a bunch of money to get a photo op with the cast of Dexter in Dallas, and then I didn't say anything about it because just in case I got there and did something ridiculous like faint. You know what I mean? Like embarrass myself. So like if I don't tell anybody about it and I do something ridiculous, I don't have to tell anybody that I did that. But you know what? I went. Wait, what? Why, Crispy? Your mic's dead. I have no idea what you're saying. Which is killing me. Care to try again? I don't. No, he's shaking.
He's shaking his head now.
I'm just saying. I'm really glad I did it. It was one of those things where it's like, do I want to spend the money on it? But obviously, it's a big deal to me. And I drove down there, and I got to meet the cast. I got to shake Michael C. Hall's hand, say hello, get an autograph.
You got to have some tomorrow. It was a good day.
What does his hand feel like, Nick?
Firm. Got a firm handshake. And then I got to meet and get a picture with Jennifer Carpenter, which was really exciting. She's super, super, super nice. And yeah, it's just
How much did she curse?
None. She actually has. She said this in like an interview. She has like, I think, a 7-year-old child now, so she tries not to curse very much, and she doesn't really like it when people go up to her and like try to get her to curse and stuff. And oh my god, I had one of those things with the girl in front of me in line was like doing one of those like super awkward like, oh, celebrities aren't a big deal to me. I'm gonna ask them to do something ridiculous. And when she went up there, they did that thing where like they were like looking at her like, what? Like, what do you want me to do? Just like really awkward. And I was just like, oh my god, why are some people
it's simple.
like this?
You suck on my toes. It's not complicated.
You know what's funny about that? She asked C.S. Lee Masuka.
What's funny about that?
To kiss her foot, and he looked at her like she was crazy, and then did it. So I know. I don't know. It's fucking weird. But she was doing that she was trying to go up to like all the cast members individually and ask them to do something weird. And her argument was like, in case I'm ever on the like Jimmy Fallon show and they're doing that like Truth or whatever that game show is, where like, so she can say like, I've done this, and people are gonna be like, that never happened, and then she could be like, actually it did. So she was like trying to ask them all to do something ridiculous. Oh, it was cringe. But like I got to go up and be like that nice normal person and just say hello, and like it was only like 30 seconds to a minute, but man, I don't regret it at all. It was a really cool experience. So you know what? If there's something that excites you and you're happy about it, and you think even for like 1 second, like maybe it'll be worth it, do it. I don't regret it for a second, even though it's kind of expensive. But you know what? Great experience.
It's one of those things, Nick, where don't get me wrong. I don't want to say money's no object, but if it's something that you feel that it's worth it, I think it's okay. If you have the spare quiche to shell out, and it's something that you feel like it's going to be a very good memory for you, I feel that it's worth it.
That's exactly where I'm coming from. So if that seems like if there's ever that thing that you're like, I could do it, but will it be worth it? Sometimes I think it probably will, so it's worth taking the risk if you can.
Absolutely. Just maybe next time be a little bit more considerate and bring back your friends some pizza.
I did not go to Sbarro's, you bitch. We did stop at this like really cool burger joint on the way back in this like tiny town outside of Dallas, and it was like a hole in the wall. Swear to God, one of the best hamburgers I've ever had, best tater tots I've ever had. Oh my God, I have no idea what it was called.
Did you stop at Check Stop on the way to Dallas?
What's that?
You always got to stop at Check Stop.
You gotta go Check Stop.
I'm sorry.
So it's a Czech bakery where they have like
kolaches,
but but I like the not like a kolache like sausage. That's not a real kolache.
Yeah.
Like the sweet like the pastry kolache, and they are like anytime you go, if you're between Austin Dallas area, just Check Stop or there's two of them around the same area. I forget, one's called one and one's called the other. But there's like a fucking line out the door all the time. Like super good stuff.
Good to know. And you know what? I will say this, I was a little nervous about being in a convention center, rightfully so. We were like the only people in that building wearing masks, and I went and got a COVID test today, negative. But man,
good.
I was sweating there for a minute. Crispy, is your mic working yet? Do you want to say something?
Is my mic working?
Yes, your mic is working.
I don't remember what I was gonna say. I'm glad you had fun, Nick.
Thank you.
I'm glad you got to touch him finally.
Yeah, it was nice. When you say it like that, it's a little creepy. But yeah.
You finally got to press flesh with the man you love.
Ooh, flesh on flesh.
Oh man, guys, that's our show tonight. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for listening. 4playernetwork.com is the website. You can find all of our episodes. Of course, the important thing is Discord, discord.gg/4player. Come hang out, talk about games. We want to have you there. If you join, stop in the introduction channel, say hello. We'd love to hear from you. And next week, I think we'll be back with the top 3 episode. I'm not entirely sure yet what the plan is, but we'll figure that out and we'll get that information disseminated to everybody. In the meantime, be good to each other, play video games, and be safe out there. We'll see you next time. Good night.
Bye.